Yo ho, yo ho. Welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And welcome to the show where we talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. That's right, you know what they are? Of course, we do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And those things are aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And we are streaming. When I say we're live, this show is live. We're streaming on Rockfin, D-Live, YouTube, and Periscope. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show at any point tonight, give us a ring at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Phone number is up on the stream. You can always find the phone number and the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That's the official website. And please join the Discord. Lots of great conversation goes on after hours and 24 hours a day. There's people all over the world that listen to this show. And so time zones are just... you don't need them, do you? When you have the internet, you don't need time zones because people can get together and talk about things whenever the hell they want to, which is really what this show is about. The whole premise of this show is about getting together and talking about things whenever the hell we want to and deciding what we want to talk about. Nobody tells us what to think. Nobody tells us what to say. And we get to come together and celebrate that freedom, that right, that... God-given, inalienable right that we still have. It still exists today. And so there we go. That's what's up. That's what this show's about. That's where we're at. That's the state of the union. It is Thursday, so we won't have more Troubled Minds for the rest of the week. But we have a special show tonight. We have a good friend, Austin, here. Austin is, he's been a friend of the show for quite some time, and he usually jumps into the chat right after. We have what we're starting to call an Troubled Minds after party. And after the shows, we all get together and hang out and talk about all kinds of stuff. Sometimes it's an extension of the show topics. Sometimes it's you name it. Like I said, nobody tells us what to think. Nobody tells us what to say. And I am firm on that. That's just the way it goes. And as long as we respect each other, we can have a respectful conversation. It's fantastic. Austin, let's get Austin in here. Are you there, my friend? Testing 1, 2. Nice. Welcome to the show. This is Austin from Michigan, and like I said, he's been doing a hell of a job spreading the word about this show and about just being a good person to everybody. Just kind of doing the rest of those things, and I appreciate that quite a lot, my man. Anything you want to say about yourself? You want to introduce yourself to maybe folks who haven't heard you before? Right on. You are in the right place because that's what we're talking about tonight. So thank you, Austin, for being here. I appreciate it. Like I said, you are more in tune with this green language stuff than you know, and it's a funny thing, right? So we'll get going on what that's the topic tonight, by the way. There's said to be an ancient language, all right, back to the days of yore, before actually the world as we know it was formed. It was actually the very first language. It's known as the language of the angels, the language of the birds, the green language. And I've said this before as we kind of talked about it in one of those Troubled Minds after party type things on the Discord, is it's less a science and it's more of an art. Because it's not necessarily about, surely you can say that language in and of itself is based on Latin roots and things like this. Language always has a precursor to it, all right? So it is about that somewhat, but it's also about other languages, other things like nonverbal cues. It's about the way actual birds communicate with each other. It's all encompassing. It's basically, if you could strip out words and have just sounds like consonants, like hard consonants and things like this, and body language, do you think you'd be able to communicate if you stripped out all meaning from words? And that's kind of what this is about. And so not only that, once you start thinking about it and kind of like boiling it down and cooking it up into whatever this perfect original language may have been, it's all speculation at this point, of course. But once you start doing that and thinking about it, you'll start to notice some connections with the real world, with the way we speak today, the way we communicate with each other, whether it's, the way we look at each other, things like this. Like I say, nonverbal cues are also part of this, because that's how birds communicate today. So I'm way ahead of myself here, and you guys may be thinking, what the hell is he talking about? That's okay. That's okay, because we're about to start and tell you exactly where all this originated. Am I seriously? No. Come on. Stop trolling me. Oh, caller is muted. Caller is muted. Is that true? Hold on.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that. You're muted. You were muted on the stream. That's my bad. I didn't click over to there's like 10 buttons I got to press every time we take a break. So, okay. So let's start over. Caller, thank you. Caller is muted, and I was like, hold on. What's going on here? All right. So go ahead and reintroduce yourself, because the stream didn't hear you. I'm sorry, Austin. That was my fault entirely.
No, that's good. It's probably better that way anyway. So I've never been on air before. I call in. That's the closest thing I get to being on air in anything. Actually, this show is the first show I called into as well. And I'm pretty new to the radio environment, but I've been obsessed with the green language for a while, but I never knew exactly what it was. When I first heard the term, I was like asking so many questions about what it really is. And I guess I've always had a heart for it. Put together some notes today, and a lot of it's going to be just rolling it all together, though, because I remember quite a bit of it.
Right on. Okay, sweet. So sorry about that. I like I said, there's a lot of buttons for me to press to make sure everything runs perfectly. Like I said, radio is not my superpower. Okay, so anyway, let's begin the tale. So like I said, a little bit of a convoluted way to start, but that's okay, because let's begin here. Now, the story actually starts. Now when I say biblical origin, all right, I'm going to say biblical in origin. It's not necessarily like you think, okay? Because of course, biblical origin can mean many things, all right? Because, like I said, basically not just the green language itself, but the Bible is also based on stories previous to the Bible itself. And so, and of course it goes back thousands of years, all the thing, all right? But there's a particular story in the Bible that's actually talking about this thing called the Tower of Babel. All right. And so I'm going to put this up on the stream. You guys have all my links already. They're already right there on YouTube. It's already there. I'll drop it in just in case, but why the heck not? But here we go. All right. So thanks for letting me know, guys. There was no music and no Austin. They heard me. They just didn't hear you. So at least it wasn't a complete bungle. Sometimes I've rambled on for 5 minutes and nobody's heard me talking. Yeah, there you go. Well, that's okay. All right. So anyway, it wasn't a complete bungle. Anyway, it was only a partial. Let's go anyway. Here we go. All right. So now this story is like this. All right. So the Tower of Babel, everybody knows this story, but let's just revisit for some folks that may not. All right. Up until this point, here we go. Okay. The people of the earth had become skilled in construction and decided to build a tower. Build a city with a tower that would reach up to heaven. By building the tower, the inhabitants of the city wanted to make a name for themselves and also prevent the population from being scattered across the earth. And this is from learnreligions.com, and I dropped it in the chat if you guys want to check it out. And this is from, let's see, this story is actually from the Genesis 10. And it's it says 9 through 10, 9 through 10. I think it goes a little longer than that. But anyway, here we go. Let's see. All right, and this is the quote from Genesis 11:4. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth." All right. And so, of course, Genesis tells us that God came to see the city and the tower they were building. He perceived their intentions, and in his infinite wisdom, he knew this stairway to heaven would only lead the people away from God. The goal of the people was not to glorify God and lift up his name, but to build a name for themselves. In Genesis 9:1, God told humankind, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth." God wanted people to spread out and fill the whole earth. By building the tower, the people were ignoring God's clear instructions. Now, this is interesting. Babel, the word itself, is derived from the root meaning to confuse. God observed what a powerful force the people's unity of purpose created. As a result, he confused their language, causing them to speak many different languages so they would not understand each other. By doing this, God thwarted their plans. He also forced the people of the city to scatter all across the face of the earth. And there you go. That's exactly where this tale begins. Like I said, biblical in origin, and the people got together and they were building a literal stairway to heaven. All right? Stairway to heaven. We've heard that before, haven't we? I won't play the song. But the thing is this. People all spoke the same tongue. They were all able to communicate with each other, and there was none of this global misunderstanding we have now. Now, Austin, any take on that? I'm sure you've heard the story of the Tower of Babel before. Am I right?
Yeah, it made me think of a few different things, like the baby lion or Leo, and also for some reason it made me think of ball, but I don't know if that really fits in there. But I do know there's a lot of sports we watch. There's this old goddess or whatever called and they have, Bill. We pay bills, we play ball, and there's like L at the end of all of it, and then L electricity and L elected, and Raphael, Michael, Rachel, Gabriel, whatever. The L actually, it represents, it's supposed to mean like God or something. I gotta look into that. I don't know.
I think that's part of it too, is once you start kind of digging into some of these roots, not just the terms, but the language as it's been used in the past and present day, right? There's a huge bridge of history here that we're kind of trying to conquer. There's a ton. And so we did do a show on this, the language of the birds, or the green language as it's known. So now just to back to the story. Now, what the original perfect language, like I said, it was known as the language of the angels, okay? And so as time developed, that's what people spoke back before the Tower of Babel. However, they say that God actually scattered them throughout the world and removed that singular language and made them speak all different languages, because of course if they united. Interesting, I always talk about division politics. Well, I don't know what that is. If that ain't it, I don't know what it is. It seems like maybe there's sorry, go ahead.
I said I just remembered Elohim. Yeah. Which this is a controversial original translation. It's controversial because El means God and Elohim means God in plural in the original Phoenician Canaanite language, which is merchant baker backwards, because the language was it's backwards from how we speak it. But in the original text of Genesis, it said, "The gods created man in our image." And I know that's gonna... Yeah, I just had to say that. You
just had to stir the pot, didn't you? Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure.
All right.
Yeah, I'm welcome for the criticism, though. I get it. That's probably the most controversial thing I could bring up on your show ever.
That's okay. We're not going to get too deep into that anyway. So you're safe. Okay. So the way this works then, now, like I said, if you again, so like I said, it was the original perfect language, and this existed before the Tower of Babel. Now, the reason it's called the language of the angels is because they say this is still the language the angels speak. And very much like Austin was saying, there are terms like Elohim. There are still these terms that are still based. We use those roots for different things in English ourselves. Okay, and part of that, like I said, it's not just based on etymologies and the previous iterations of language as it develops. It's also all those other things. So like I was describing when we began tonight, there's the way birds think of it. If you're walking, we talked about this a couple nights ago again on the Discord after party. If you guys are into that, for after the show, we were talking about how birds in particular, when they're chirping to each other, they don't use words specifically like we do. We have all these words where you can say all these things. For example, you can say hello to somebody, and you can say it like 1,000 different ways, right? You can kind of say it very cold. You can say it very warmly. You can say it, hesitantly or unsure of yourself because you don't know if you're going to get a greeting back. You can have a ton of baggage between you and the person you're saying hello to. And so the word hello in and of itself is a word, and it means something, but it can be delivered like 1,000 different ways. And that's part of this. That's part of this whole thing. It's not just the word itself. It goes back further than that. And it becomes, like we talk about words as spells, right? You spell the word. And this is the type of thing that the green language is, because as the language is kind of changed and grew and, all over the world and all the rest of it, what we get today, a lot of that same stuff is based. That's basically the only way these languages are the same. Sorry, go ahead.
Alphabet.
Yeah, alphabet.
It sounds like L when you say it. L at the beginning, but it's alpha. I get that, but it's just too similar.
Yeah, possibly. And so that's what I'm saying. So it's not necessarily like you can point to one exact example. Actually, you can. So for instance, let's start with this. So the one example we have talked about, Austin, is that when you say television, I know you've looked at this one and thought about this one. Like I said, division politics, right? The God striking down. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not questioning the word of God here, but I'm just telling you that if you're going to strike down the Tower of Babel and spread people out so they're not united, well, what's television all about? Why don't you tell us, Austin?
Tell lies to your vision. People have visions of the future sometimes, and they're never 100% accurate because that's like impossible. Yoda says some things about that. We'll
get to that. Save the Yoda stuff. We'll get to Yoda.
Yeah.
We'll get to
Yoda. I have
that
ready.
All right. So for example, tell, lie, vision, television, right? Television. And there it is right in your face. And like I said, sometimes it's not just the words we say, it's also how they're connected together. Okay, so television clearly is a propaganda device. Television is exactly like it says right there in the word. It's telling you exactly what it is. It's a tell, lie, vision, you see? And this is the type of thing. So like I said, there are many different ways to kind of go about deriving what the green language means today, whatever that perfect language was. And I'm not saying that the angels or the birds ever said the word television themselves, but what I am saying is these same sentiments and notions seem to trickle down into the language we speak, including, like I said, the nonverbal stuff. And that right there, is a big combination and a big convoluted way to kind of describe what we're talking about here. So let's actually jump to the actual definition of this so that you guys, now that I've botched it 6 times over, this is what it means, all right? Again, it's known as the language of the birds or the green language, and it was the original perfect language that happened before the Tower of Babel, all right? Now, this is straight from the Ministry of Truth, I like to call it, Wikipedia. And in Abrahamic and European mythology, medieval literature, and occultism, the language of the birds is postulated as a mystical, perfect, divine language, an Adamic language, Enochian, angelic language, or a mythical or magical language used by birds to communicate with the initiated. You see? And there's more to that. We'll get into that. So here we go. There's a whole bunch. It goes through Norse, Greek, Middle Eastern. There's folklore. They talk about the use in alchemy of the green language, the perfect divine language. And that's really what this is about tonight. That's the conversation.
Oh, you said another one.
What is it?
Alchemy.
Alchemy. Yes, alchemy. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. L again.
Not only that, alchemy is another one. What's that? There's what's modern day alchemy?
Alchemy means God's chemistry.
It's kind of chemistry, right? Yeah. And that's the thing, right? So I think that's as you pay attention and you start to realize what's going on with this, and you want to learn more of what maybe this perfect language is. I think you have to really pay attention. It's difficult. It's difficult to kind of get to the bottom of this. I've been thinking about this for over a year now, kind of passively, but still, it's really tough to bring examples up regarding this. So what we'd like to do tonight is kind of go through some of this and talk about these things. We'll get to Yoda, which I had never actually considered, but this is Austin's theory with Yoda. We'll get to that. Well, let's get to Yoda right after the break here when we come back, Austin, just so people pick up what we're putting down. But I think we've established where this comes from. The Tower of Babel, the singular language. God busted it up and sent everybody all over the place, scrambled the languages, and here's where we're at still. All right. So we'll get to it. We'll get to the rest of this stuff. But we'd love to hear your theories on this. Have you ever heard of this language of the birds, the green language? Have you ever heard of the way these maybe languages mix and fuse, even though they're right? You can't really take a non-Latin based language like, let's say, Russian and, speak to somebody who speaks Spanish and have them kind of be able to pick out anything. Really, it's going to be so different. However, you can pick out body language, you can pick out tone of speech, you can pick out all the rest of these things, and you see, it's not just verbal. There's a whole bunch of this that kind of comes into it with when you start looking at the birds themselves and how they communicate with each other. So we'll get into some of that as we go, but anything to add real quick before we head to the break here, Austin?
I like to say well, and I just realized L is at the end of well as well.
As well. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so L being God, of course, right? The initiator of this. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I realized it's all over the place. I just keep seeing the patterns,
Right. Yeah. Like I said, the more you pay attention, the more this kind of develops, and you do start to see these patterns. So that's what we're doing tonight. Are there any of these patterns that maybe you've noticed? Is this something you've heard of? And what do you think? What do you think about this conversation? All that stuff is open. You guys know this. This is Troubled Minds, and we have an open-ended and non-linear conversation. We're talking about all kinds of things tonight. So if you want to be part of the show, you know what to do. We have an open line phone number, and that would be 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Or you can join the Discord at troubledminds.org. Hop in here and say hi. And I'm Michael Strange. This is Troubled Minds. We're here with our friend Austin from Michigan, and we're talking the green language tonight. If you love this and you want to know what's up, give us a call. For right now, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds when we return. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope. We're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we're here with our friend Austin from Michigan. And tonight, we're talking about the green language, the language of the birds, the original language before God struck down the Tower of Babel and scattered the people the world over, all the while scrambling their language. So we have what we have today. We're taking your phone calls on this. If you want to be part of the show, give us a call. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org and click the Discord link right there on the website. Give you a direct invite. Just jump in the caller queue and we'll put you on the show. Easy as that. And the phone number is also at troubledminds.org. And welcome back, Austin. Test 1, 2. Let's see if I didn't botch it this time. Can you hear me?
2-1.
Yes, nice. Okay. All right. So now we were talking about this. Austin and I have been kind of kicking around this idea for maybe a week or so. And offline on, again, in the after party at Troubled Minds, if you guys are into that, we end up on Discord just kind of kicking the can around, and it's fun. And so we were talking about the green language, and he brought up something to me a long time ago in just a conversation, just kind of an off conversation we were having, and he brought up Yoda. And he was trying to explain to me that Yoda speaks the way he does. Everybody knows Yoda from Star Wars, the fictional character, okay? But he was trying to explain to me that Yoda speaks the way he does for a particular reason. You want to tell us about that, Austin? And it didn't dawn on me till later, but I thought, holy smokes, Yoda speaks the green language. But go right ahead, sir. Tell us about Yoda and how this thing might work.
It all starts from the source, which is intention, and then it's thought, and then it's speaking, and then it's action. And it seems that all four of those things with Yoda are aligned to actions first, even his words. so he always speaks verbs first.
Meaning, why would you speak verbs first if you're speaking the green language? For example, do you have an example of what Yoda may say?
Yes, I have. I picked a few of my favorites.
Okay, just give us one, and we'll talk about that. Just one. Don't burn through them all. We got to pace ourselves here. But
all right, I'll do the most popular one probably. Do or do not. There is no try.
Okay, and so he says do. And what you're describing is Yoda is speaking the verb first. The do is the action part of the sentence there, which is backwards, of course, because we would say the correct way to say that would be, well, you should do, right? There's going to be some sort of something before that. I'm not an English language master or anything here, so I'm not going to break it down, prepositions and all this stuff for you, because I don't even know what that means anymore. But that's not the way people speak. All right, but the reason he says the verb first is for a very specific reason, and you were explaining this to me, and I was like, "Holy smackerel! I think I missed this when we talked about language of the birds last time." So why does Yoda say do or do not? Right? It's the action first, the verb first. Why do you think that's the case?
I have practiced this for a few days, and I did this as a self-defense mechanism against someone that wouldn't stop babbling. And I'm using that word in relevance to what you were saying earlier. They wouldn't stop babbling, so I decided to try something different, and it was speaking like Yoda. So I read some quotes. I was like, patience you must have. And I was like, hardly ever speaking because of that. I didn't have to... And I felt like I wasn't losing energy, too. It was almost laughable. Like, I was almost cracking up every time, but I loved it because I thought way less, and my thoughts felt more laser-like and aligned as I practiced it for a couple days. I would either really annoy people, or people would really love it. And it seemed like it kind of made things easier for me. Like, it seemed like intentions were easier to read as well.
Yeah, so we got some. There you go. You guys put your best Yoda in there, and we got listening to Mike. We've got smoking weed. I am. We've got You guys are putting some good examples. Put your best Yoda in the chat there, and see if think of it in terms of how Yoda speaks, and is what Austin's saying here in those same terms, meaning that he's putting the action first. He's saying that remove the doubt, remove all of the other things in the sentence you don't need. This is where we start, because this is the most important thing, which is do or do not. Or just like Jack says, listening to Mike, we are. So the first thing there, right, the very first thing is listening. The rest of that, right, may be irrelevant. It's like not just listen, really listen, right? And it's the same thing. It's like this is how, when Austin first described this to me, I didn't get it at first. Like, I understood why he was saying the Yoda stuff and how it kind of simplifies speech. However, I didn't really click it into the green language until quite a bit later, and I was like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. So instead of perfect vernacular, we have more direct ways to communicate that are very much in line with actions first, very much like Yoda. And so, do or do not. There is no try. The try is irrelevant. Let's get doing. Let's get to doing. And that's why he talks in that form, interestingly. And I wonder if that was by Lucas and those guys when they created Star Wars with Yoda and all that, if that was by design. I'm wondering, or if maybe that was kind of an accidental thing. What do you think there, Austin?
I think George Lucas, I read into him a little bit, and I'm crazy enough to believe that he actually recalled a past life where he was trying to put together the most prominent memories or events in his past life into the 4 or 5 episodes, the ones that George Lucas made. I think he was, that's where he got all of his information from. I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, so many people don't know this, but George Lucas was actually an anthropologist first. That was his degree. He wasn't a film student, and so that's the interesting part. So a lot of the things like the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell, and the rest of that stuff, he brought that stuff directly to Star Wars. So it wouldn't surprise me if, like Matt says here in the chat, that some wizards also speak this way. Gandalf and Merlin. There's more of a kind of directly indirect way they speak. And so I wonder if it was a kind kind of tie it into maybe this sort of green language theory that Lucas did, but it was clearly just too much to put into the movie. So they instead of trying to teach us what it was, they just showed us what it was. And that's Yoda saying, do or do not. There is no try. And yeah, so that's what kind of blew my mind as we were talking about this with Austin back in the day. It was maybe a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago when he first brought this up. And I thought that it's an amazing thought. However, it does kind of link into this this green language. Here we go. James says, "Manifest my reality, I will." Right, and so that's the thing. You see the way that backwards speech is putting the most important thing in the front, manifest, right? Or do not, there is no try. Things like this. And so you start to see that there's no, like I said, this green language stuff is more an art than a science. And that's what we're talking about tonight. So if you guys are into this, you guys know the drill, 702-957-1037. That's troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link and we'll put you on the show. But this is the type of stuff, right? This stuff actually comes from somewhere. And do you believe that there is a perfect language that maybe the birds speak, that maybe are birds able to communicate with angels in a non-verbal sense just because of their tone, their cadence, the songs they sing? Right? There's some pretty amazing stories about birds with this. And so they say it's anyway, there's a lot to this. We'll get into it as we go. But any thoughts on that, on the rest of the Yoda stuff? We got a phone call coming in. We'll take in a sec. But anything you want to add to the Yoda stuff? We'll get back to some more examples of Yoda. We're going to keep going with that because I think it's an important thing to point out here as we talk about this tonight.
We're talking about green language and Yoda's green.
Yeah, there's another good one, right? There's another good one. Like I said, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. Did they do that intentionally? The more you think about it, it starts to seem like possibly, right? Let's call it a possibly maybe. Drink the maybe juice like we always do on Troubled Minds.
Yeah, you can never discount it if it is possible.
Exactly. So, okay, another one. Winning, James is. There you go. There you go. Yeah, put your best Yoda in the chat, guys. All right, here we go. We're going to go to, I'm not sure exactly who this is. Let's see. I have no idea. Let's go to whoever this is. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and Austin. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
What's going on, Mike and Austin? It's Derek, Nice Stalker.
Derek, what's up, my man? How are you tonight?
You guys. Really cool stuff so far.
Thank you.
Really good job so far, Austin. You can never tell that this is your first time on the mic. You're crushing it.
Nice.
You're too kind, you are.
Too kind, you are. Go ahead.
I'm working, so I got to try to kind of be quick. I can rattle a few things off.
Sure.
First, as far as like this perfect language, this early perfect language, it sounds a lot like telepathy, like something like a form of communication, like beyond words. Like it could be there was this perfect like mind-to-mind communication, which scattered into beyond just languages itself, like language, speech, body language, like and all the different examples you listed of like different types of language, that we can observe. Those could all be like part of the shattering of the Tower of Babel and stuff too. But also like it reminds me of possibly something from like the other side, like a language from another realm. Like the green aspect reminds me of like the Green Man, which is like a nature spirit kind of, or like the Green Kids of Wolf Pit, which is like all associated with greenness, and they came back, or like they came out of the other realm green, and they eventually like changed to like human form, I guess, or whatever. So there's a weird association with like the other side and green, and like the bird part reminds me of like how birds kind of like travel like in like flocks. Like it seems like they're communicating telepathically. Like they all move at the same time. And I guess like I think scientists or anthropologists would argue that there's like little subtle gestures they're making, which like kind of communicates to them like when they should move. But from like our perspective, it looks like they're they're all moving at once. Like even like a giant school of fish, like they move like one hive mind. So perhaps the language of the birds means like the language of the hive mind. Like when we were all connected to this one like source much more closely, and then it kind of separated. We kind of the veil went up and we lost that connection and started to communicate with symbols rather than with actual like thoughts,
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I was actually going to get to that too. And you pointed that out to me a couple nights back when we were talking about this, that nonverbal communication. That when I say nonverbal, notice I didn't mention telepathy yet, but that would be nonverbal communication, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then like the Yoda thing reminds me of there's a guy, Dr. Raymond Moody, who's like one of the leading near-death experience researchers in the world. He like might have coined the term near-death experience. I'm not sure. He coined like a very famous term. And I guess recently he's been getting into the idea of a nonsense language or like nonsense logic, that like a commonality when people come back from like near-death experiences. It's this weird, like surreal, like non-linear nonsense communication that they're trying to like convey to people. And so like he says that by like practicing nonsense language, you like train your brain to be more prepared for like when you enter these other realms. So Yoda or Merlin or these mystics, who their veil is much blurrier than ours, or the average person, I would say. Perhaps they're like training their mind to be more magical by using this form of nonsense language. You know, because apparently he's like still researching. I don't think he like knows why it works, but there's an element to like making the nonsense like words all out of order, and you have to kind of end up like train your brain to like think more in the abstract, which is like beneficial, I guess, outside of the 3D space. Apparently.
Yeah. That makes sense. Kind of noted. So, like we're saying, you have to be very attentive to this language to kind of pick apart the connections here. But if you're always paying attention to that level, when they're mixed up, you're picking that stuff out automatically. I can see how that would help.
Yeah, and even like, but don't pay attention too hard on it. Like it's not logical. Like if you try to make sense of it, that's where you trip up. Like it's training your mind to not make sense of these things, to operate within that abstract, because that's like what the other side looks like. It's like how people compare like meditation to like what it's like before we die, and how like meditation is like a sailor training to sail, like back in the olden times when they were like these pioneers who would go to these places for the first time. So when you're traveling around like the Cape of Good Hope or something, those waters are unknown to you. They're like really rough. So the good sailor will practice so that when these waters come, they're like more comfortable in them. And it's the same idea with meditation. Like when you get to this place where you're not sure what's going on, to have practice in our lifetime, it helps you. I think the nonsense language is the same idea, to like train your mind to operate outside of like linear reality somehow, you know, because that's like a glimpse into the other side. And this is the last thing I'll say, and then I'll leave. But it also reminds me of like Elvish, like Tolkien, like the idea that there was a time on Earth when like it was much more magical, and I forget what it's called, but there's like a actual Elvish like language that's associated with it that like kind of operates in the same way. I forget. I'm rambling, but I'll go. Really, really great show, you guys. Awesome stuff.
I appreciate it. Fantastic call as always, Derek. You were the best. We'll talk to you soon, my man.
Yeah.
Thanks. Have a great night. That's Derek from Massachusetts. That's the Night Stalker. You guys, this is the quality of people you're missing. Derek here as well. If you guys haven't joined the Discord yet, meeting lots of friends here that are just brilliant and into this. I think Derek was talking about the Numenor language from the Middle Earth, and I think I'm a big Middle Earth nerd, so I'm probably on the game with that. But yeah, so you hear what he said there, Austin, is that he said a lot of things real quick, but one of the things that is notable too is that maybe the perfect language is actually a telepathic thing, and then so what we're doing is we're sort of breaking down roots of an initial telepathic language that existed before even the spoken word itself. Interesting thoughts, huh?
Yeah, I could imagine that being detrimental to big money systems.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And so, and the thing that got me thinking about that too is actually Night Stalker Derek there brought that up a couple nights ago when we were talking about this. We were just kind of kicking around the green language idea of what it was, and so he brought it up, and I was like, yeah, you know why? Think about when birds fly, right? When they're not, I wanted to say commuting, when they're migrating, right? They get these perfect, they'll fly in these perfect V's, right? And like it's like that. They don't look back to each other to check to see they're still in formation. They know exactly where they're at. It's like they are sort of communicating telepathically with each other. And another thing too, not just like that, like the migrating geese or whatever, where there's the V in the sky. There's actually those birds, you've seen them, like the packs of starlings, where there's like thousands of them, and they're all kind of like
waves.
This one
they
big,
look like waves.
Yes, exactly. So who's running that thing? Who's leading that pattern of the floating of the birds? Who's actually, is there a mind in charge of that? How do they know which way to turn next? But it seems to be all synchronized, doesn't it? And there you go. There's a good way to put it. Maybe they are communicating telepathically somehow. Maybe that the language of the birds thing is exactly what we're talking about here. Thoughts?
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
It just got me really thinking about it.
That's all right.
I'm so glad he brought that up, because that's one of the things that I wondered about the most. There was some guy that brought that up to me a while back, talking about how the secret, like there's something really powerful to us that you can learn from studying birds. And I heard that a while ago, and I can't remember from who, but he was pretty impressionable.
Right. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So anything else on the rest of the stuff he said, talking about kind of mixing up the words to maybe be able to step into a different mystic world, like you said. Maybe it's how Yoda does it. Maybe how Merlin and other people did it. It's like they spoke kind of out of a strange cadence, like it was an ancient tongue, like they had to learn English from maybe this original language, and that's kind of why it's botched. I don't know. What do you think there?
I don't know. I really don't. I'm just like hypnotized by it.
Okay, that's cool. As it comes to you, you're welcome to chime in here. I'm gonna just keep on trucking then. Okay, so as you know, that was Derek from Massachusetts giving us a call. So good stuff. If you guys have thoughts on this, what do you think? What do you think about the original perfect language? Is there something to this? And like Austin said, with Yoda in particular, he brings up the verbs first many times. It's not always that way. He kind of does some other ways of doing it, but do or do not, there is no try. So let's go back to that. You said you have another example there?
Oh, I have a bunch. I put together like all my favorites. I have like probably 13, but I'll pick the other one, which was the one that I probably was told the most as I was growing up, and that is, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Okay, so fear leads. So not exactly the verb first, but it is where he starts at the end. You end up with fear by all of the rest of these things as the sentence follows, right? Is kind of what he's saying. Yeah. Once again, it's like the destination first, because I think in that case you have to be probably more aware of where you're headed, and so the goal there is to not fall into that very first word he uses, which is fear. And yeah, good stuff. And so the question is tonight, as we continue talking about this stuff, do you think that this Yoda business and how this kind of plugs into this language of the birds, the original language, there's something to this, maybe with George Lucas being the anthropologist he was, which, by the way, like I said, he actually had an anthropology degree, not a not a degree in what you think he may have had. And I don't know, man. There's a lot here. So we got to take a break in just a minute. But any thoughts on the rest of that Yoda stuff, on that phrase, or anything in particular, Austin? Meditation and medication.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I think like Night Stalker was saying too, the way this works is maybe very nonlinear, and it's not supposed to be something we focus on constantly. It's like one of those things that, like, once you learn the cadences of these things, and like you said, you picked out verbs first, is a very particular way of saying, just kind of cutting to the chase of a conversation. It's like, hey, this, do or do not, right? Like the very first thing, there is no try. Don't even worry about like the effort. The effort comes in the doing in itself. That's the first thing you should do, is just do it. And like we kind of joked about when we first talked about this, Nike picked that up, didn't they? Just do it.
Yeah, they kind of jacked that one for sure. But like, so I remember more stuff about that. Like when you say try, you're acknowledging the possibility that you will fail. You're like affirming to yourself that that's a possibility. So
Right.
it's like that's how the doubt is like manifested in that. And I realized like it seems as though Yoda was totally against all of those feelings that keep you from going forward.
Exactly. Well, exactly. And so, yeah. So if you begin the do part with the doubt in your mind, it foggies up the do part, right? The action itself, because you have the doubt. The doubt has already been placed, and so it's that self-fulfilling prophecy, right? It's that Oedipus complex.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. So,
yeah, you said it better there.
Hey man, lots of practice. Thank you. All right, so we're talking about the green language tonight, guys. It's been said that in times before the Tower of Babel, there was what is known as a perfect language, the green language, the language of the birds. And there are many ways to look at this, whether it's through etymology, whether it's through metaphysical, whether it's through biblical interpretation, and even beyond that. Like I said, it's more an art than a science, but we're talking about it tonight. We're thinking about it. The green language, the language of the birds, the very first perfect language. What does this mean to you? Do you think it's hogwash, or do you think there's something to this? We're here with Austin from Michigan tonight, and he's bringing up some fantastic points about how Yoda possibly speaks the green language. And we got some more examples of that as we go. If you guys want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds after the break. Coming. The second hour is...
Yeah. How long is the break?
That's Jack. So we'll be back about 8:06. So you got a few minutes if you want to step away and do something.
All right, roger that.
All right. Don't go anywhere. Be right back, guys. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in your brain.
Alright, so maybe
and they also feel them planting or
broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
All right, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're here tonight with our good friend Austin from Michigan. And tonight we're talking about the language of the birds, the green language, the original language, before the Tower of Babel. There's a lot of theories here, a lot of things to think about, a lot of things to talk about, and that's what we do on this show. Open-ended, non-linear, all over the place. That's right, aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal. I call it the things we're not allowed to talk about. And in this case, it seems like they may actually be the case. And as we do this, we are streaming on Rockfin, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope, broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we're taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. Simple as that. And let's go. Let's do it. Welcome back, Austin, to the show. Let's unmute and make sure we're all clear. Austin, do you read me?
Yes, I read you.
Right on. Welcome
Good
back.
copy.
The show. Welcome back. You are. All right, let's go to taking your phone calls, guys. What do you think about this green language stuff? Do you think there's something to this? Do you think it's deeper than we're talking here, or do you think it's something else entirely? That's the scope of the conversation. So we're going to do that, and we're going to go to this phone call. Looks like we've got Jennifer in Missouri. Jennifer, welcome to the show. You're on with Mike and Austin. How are you?
Hey, Mike. Hey, Austin.
Hello, hello.
Howdy.
Hi. Yeah, so I'm listening in. This is a really cool topic. When you think of the animals and everything, that they do seem to have a common language between all of them. You know, and the same thing, like you guys were talking about with the birds and everything, they all seem to be moved by one kind of, like a spirit or something, like a spirit of the air of birds or something, because they're operating as one mind. And then you see it, too, with insects, and you see it with fish. And then with the mammalians, you know, like whenever they're, like, doing their migrations, they all seem to know what they're going to do and where they're going to go. So they also seem to be in communication with nature itself. So it is really amazing. The only ones who seem kind of askew, I guess, might be people. I mean, they even say that people at one point in time could predict, you know, the weather better, and they could understand and foresee catastrophes, natural catastrophes like tidal waves or volcanoes or earthquakes before they would happen, the way that animals can. And then with the story of the Tower of Babel, it's really strange because when you think about it, if mankind was once the same as, had this same language, kind of like the animals do, and they all understood each other with one tongue, like it says in that story in the Tower of Babel. And that's beautiful. That's just an absolutely beautiful idea, that mankind would be able to communicate with all mankind and that they were one with all these creatures and everything. But then you have this really unusual case happen with the story of the Tower of Babel. And what you have is Nimrod. And his, this was a tyrant, a world ruler in this story and case, who was possibly, you know, let me just start with him. So Nimrod, you know, his wife was also his mother, and they were worshiping this, they had this strange religion that they were doing. And it wasn't the religion of the people in that area, wherever that area was. I can't remember at the moment. But in that story, it's as if he was... the people themselves weren't willingly necessarily building the tower. There was a rulership going on, and he was having them basically, like slaves, he was making them build this tower. The same way that most things were built back then, taking basically advantage and exploiting the fact that mankind could communicate and come together to do amazingly huge things for his benefit. And so to make himself like a god was the idea, not to make the people like God, to make Nimrod like God. And that's why they were doing this, building the tower thing. And so it's really unusual if suddenly the people could not speak the same language anymore. They couldn't possibly create these things for these people who think of themselves as being like the creator of mankind. So it would pretty much end the ability to do these amazing feats of human architecture to that extent that they were requesting it to be done with the case of Nimrod. So it's a really odd story because in a way, it did free those people of having to be under the control of a god-man like Nimrod, who was exploiting this beautiful thing that mankind once had. And whatever it was that interfered and confounded the tongue, it's possible that it was in a way to release them from this control of this, of the ability for people to use them this way. And it's really strange if you look at the world scope, because mankind doesn't speak one language per se, it can't reach its full potential of building, for example, but building for who? For whoever could take, whoever would, you know, want to exploit that. So I think that it's a really interesting story. And the idea about it just makes you think, you know, about the repercussions of what happened because the tongue was confounded, because they no longer could speak the same language. They could not complete the Tower of Babel, nor anything else for any other rulers. So I think it's a really strange concept. That's just all I had to say about it.
Yeah, fantastic. You know? Fantastic stuff. Have you heard, before I let you go, have you heard of the green language before tonight?
I have heard that in every culture, there's accounts in every single culture that mankind once spoke all the same language. And then there's talk that there's the Indo-European languages, but before that words were a way of controlling people, that there was some kind of power in words, and that the original language may have been something that wasn't verbal. But in the case of the Tower of Babel, it's about the tongue. They all spoke a common tongue. So like whenever Night Stalker called in and he was talking about telepathy, like body language, that makes perfect sense that might be the case, and a series of sounds or something like that. So, yeah, I do think if there was an original language, or the language of the angels, which is really with Enochian, with John B., was the one who came out with the conversations about Enochian magic, angel magic, and also the language of angels and possibly Enoch. And so, yeah, the topic is really amazing. But I don't know. I would assume it would have something... It would seem like it would have something to do with telepathy, wouldn't it? But I mean, obviously there was some kind of tongue, like a language, a literal language that they were speaking.
Yeah, it seems to be.
The world may have been speaking. And you hear, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. I just said it seems to be. You're spot on. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea that there was something really beautiful about everybody having this common language. And I think that is true. And whoever or whatever, or however we all came about, the world came about, whatever designed this, if there's a great architect or something like that, that it is amazing that it might have been that way at one point. And it's very interesting that would be changed, because mankind is a different creature than the animals. And so, like no other animal, I mean, they have their own, hierarchies, but in this case with mankind, you have mankind that wants to be ruler of the entire world. We have things like tyrants. And that's, or, dictators or kings of the world or queens of the world. And so you have this weird scenario with humans that's very unique, because wanting to rule the world or be on top of the world and rule all mankind.
Right.
So I don't know.
Fantastic as always, Jennifer. And I want to add, there's a dark side to every story, isn't there? And it's bringing to mind the New World Order in old school times to me. I appreciate you calling. Yeah. Always great stuff. You're welcome to add more if you like.
No, well, I mean, there's a ton more to talk about, and I'm going to listen in on it and hear what you guys have to say about it. It is really interesting, and I think it is a beautiful idea. Right. And I think it's very likely.
I think so too.
It just seems, yeah. All right. Have a good night, guys.
Appreciate it. You too.
Austin, thank you.
Thank you very much. Jennifer in Missouri, good stuff as always. Did you catch most of that, Austin? I'm pretty sure you can hear her now. I think our audio was
loud and clear.
Yeah, we could hear you clunking around. We could hear you pouring your whatever you were pouring over there. Yeah. So okay. All right. So what Jennifer said now notably, I think it's interesting that she brought up the fact that there was a tyrant there. There was Nimrod who was actually exploiting this original language because people could communicate with each other. So you were able to basically it was like an enslavement sort of situation where. Because people were able to communicate on a wide scale, they were more easily I'm going to go back to Tolkien, where there's a whip, there's a way. And so he was building the Tower of Babel as a homage to himself, not to the people that built it. And so, of course, that's part of the reason why God was angered and struck it down and did all the things he did. But interesting stuff. So it makes you wonder, was this original language telepathic of sorts? Was it... were they able to, just like we say with the birds and, animals, how they do communicate, they do seem to have a communication structure, and it's all nonverbal, right? I mean, aside from, you can probably break down dogs or things like this, right? But still, they don't speak words. It's howls and chirps, but it's like the tone. It's like the tone of the language itself. And so, for example, just before, go ahead and take any takes on that. I know you got a dog too. Maybe you can speak to that. So maybe that language of the animals and the origination of language. What do you think?
Yeah. Most of it's gesture, tone, and you can notice it when you take cues, you take notes in your head on what your dog is saying based on what it's doing, like how it's looking at something or how it's looking around or how it's staring or if its head is low or its ears are back or, all these things factor in. And I feel like all animals, there's little cues like that, social cues
Yeah, and so that's what they're saying is that is what the green language really is, right? Meaning that they say this. Like, here's an example of it. If you were, let's say, I don't speak a lick of Russia. If you threw me in Russia, mother Russia, the motherland. If you threw me in the motherland, mother Russia, and I wouldn't be able to do I wouldn't be able to ask for a beer or the bathroom, and those are the most basic things, right? And so I'd be in trouble. I'd be in serious trouble. But if I saw like a crowd of people running and screaming loud and clear, right? Loud and clear. Like, I know, okay, let's run. something wicked this way comes, right? So, and that's what we're talking about. I think it's, so maybe it is gesture based. Maybe it is some of these things, right? But again, it kind of maybe goes back to the notion of actual telepathy of sorts, right? It's like you don't have to hear words to interpret meanings. What do you think there?
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of this person that I would have to. I'm just going to be like really upfront with this. There's a woman that I went to school with my whole life, and I met her after high school. We were like probably the most compatible person I've ever met. Like, I'm not going to get too far into that, but anyway, I was walking down the park like a year or two after, ran into her. She was walking her like pit bull. And I said her full name, and then her dog just laid down, and she was like staring at her dog, and I was like, has that ever happened before? And she was like, no. And that was like when we started talking again at that point. But that was that I think there's something to that, you know. I think the dog kind of recognized how I said her full name, like so like purely that it just laid down. Like, it was so strange. I thought it was strange, and she thought it was stranger because it never happened before. But I'm sure there's people out there that have stories of their animals having this weird, very different body language to someone unique to them.
And so the dog picked up on your intention of being kind to her, being benevolent to her, and so the dog responded. So, but again, right, through tone, through body language, through those types of intentions. That's how dogs speak. That's how animals speak. And so it is odd that when we boil down language as it is now, and it quote advanced as we've become. If you look all the way back and kind of go to the root, the very base of language in that Tower of Babel story, and think of language prior to that moment, it seems likely that we were speaking like the languages of animals, like at least, right? I mean, if you go all the way back, right, and before there was speech itself, it seems like maybe that would be the case. Not just telepathy, but some of these other things. We got some other calls to take. Any thoughts before we jump on some more calls here, Austin?
Yeah, I was also reading into these old ninja books. It means Infiltration by Stephen K. Hayes, and it gave me insight on the elements of nature and people's behavior, including animals. And based on that book, it says that animals are always in the fire element, which is always in the present. They're not bound by fear of the past or regret of the past or fear of the future. They're just always in the moment. So their communication is different because of that.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff. People are saying in the chat that the Yoda speak freaks them out. All right, we'll get back to Yoda. There's a lot to talk about here. We'll get back to Yoda in a sec. Let's go to James. James has been waiting quite a while on Discord. James, Salcedo Paranormal. What's up, my friend? Welcome to the show. You're on with Mike and Austin. How are you?
Hey, buddy.
Good. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure's ours, sir. What do you think about this language of the birds? Do you think there's something to it, or do you think we're just making a bunch of hullabaloo about nothing?
Well, I think language is always shifting, always changing, always moving. So I think anything is possible for sure. And I've been kind of there with you all when you've been talking about this on and off for the last week or so now, and there are definitely words that stand out to me. And the one I mentioned before, and then there's one I thought of today. The first thing I thought of right away was the whole, basically the word demonstrate.
Okay.
Because if you look at it, it has Yeah, it has the word demo or even demon in it at the very beginning. So, and then of course there's different words you can make with, those roots. Demolish, which basically means destroy. Stuff like that. I think that was the first thing I noticed. But the other thing I was thinking of today is it's interesting how many words there are that have the word quest in them.
Ooh.
Like questions, request. I mean, just the word quest itself,
Conquest.
Ooh.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And
Yep.
quest itself, of course, means the journey, right? It means the yeah. Interesting.
Request.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so as James is describing here, and we've been talking about this kind of on and off on the after party, the Troubled Minds thing, when we hop in the Discord and kick it together. But the thing is like this. So it's not just like sort of the nonverbal communication stuff we're talking about. It's not even necessarily the maybe telepathic version of this, of the green language and the language before the original Tower of Babel. Before there was the language of angels, they call it. Is that there's also, when you look at some of these things, maybe the etymology is coming through. Maybe the base of these languages in terms back to the Latin and even beyond that is that you have exactly like James is describing here with the term itself. There seems to be more in the term on a request, right? So the request is you're asking somebody for something, but the term itself is, right, your is the quest.
To do it again.
Yeah, here is your. I give you your quest, my friend. And there's my request. Yeah, man, good stuff. Good stuff.
I mean, even like request is almost like a question. So re-question. I mean,
yeah, and you can start layering, and I think that's the thing too. Is when you start looking at it in terms of language, in terms of, again, way back to the beginning, we don't know, because I think that's like I said with birds and things like this, animals, they do have that language where they communicate basically telepathically, but it is maybe not exactly telepathic. It's more the nonverbal cues, right? And so that's the type of thing. Is it mind reading, or is it just knowing what the nonverbal cue meant? Yeah. Crazy stuff. What do you think about the Yoda stuff, James?
It's very interesting. I never thought of that. I always felt like there had to be something to it. Like I couldn't. Except when I was a kid, I didn't know. But like as I got older, I felt like there had to be a reason. Like they wouldn't just do that just to put that in there. I felt like I didn't know what the reason was, but it seemed like too much work to make him say, what may have seemed like just, odd language or odd speech. That was a conscious decision to make him talk like that, So that makes sense now after listening to all this. So great show as always.
Appreciate it, my friend. Anything else while we got you on?
No, just happy to be here and I love being in the Discord with y'all when we talk as well. So
right on.
I would definitely encourage anyone to join that as well.
Right on. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. James, everybody follow his podcast at Salcedo Paranormal. You can find him at where can we find you, James?
Yeah, just go to the website. I can put a link in the chat for you. But it's salcedoparanormal.podbean.com.
Perfect.
And that has all my links in it.
Perfect. And James talks about paranormal stuff too, so you're in the right place. You can't go wrong. Appreciate it, James. Thanks for chiming in.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a great night. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. Good stuff as always. That's what I'm saying, right? Lots of smart people here. I don't know. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? The quest. I think he's onto something there, right? The request or the conquest, or what's happening with this, eh?
Yeah. They use a lot. It reminded me of research, remains, or remember, recognize, realize, recognize. Realize.
Realize, is that realize? Like, anyway, Jay Winch, I got your call. You keep calling and dropping. I'm going to add you, but you got to stay stable for a sec for me. I can't hit a moving target on a phone line. There you go. We're taking your phone calls tonight. We're talking about this green language stuff. The story goes a little something like this in brief. Before the Tower of Babel and God scattered people the world over and changed their languages, their verbal communications, so they could no longer collaborate on a worldwide basis, there was a language that predated the Tower of Babel, and they call it the green language, the language of the birds. And it's there's a reason they call it that, and we'll get to that. We'll continue talking about this, but we're taking your phone calls tonight. If you guys want to be part of the show, we're here with Austin from Michigan and having a good time tonight, just kind of thinking about the possibilities of language, of communication, of telepathy, of nonverbal dialogue, and all the rest of this. And do you think, again, there's something to this, or do you think it's, again, just us making a whole lot of something out of nothing? That's the question here, and loving to hear from you. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, and we're here with Austin tonight. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are here with our good friend, Austin from Michigan, and we're talking about the green language tonight, the original language, the one that happened before the fabled Tower of Babel. Do you think there's something to this? Do you think that it could have been possibly a telepathic situation? Do you think it's other sort of non-verbal communication? What's going on with this? And are there links to today's language? That's what's on my mind tonight. It's a fascinating topic, I think, and it's one of those ones where you could probably talk about this in particular for weeks and maybe not even get to the bottom of it. So we're looking to hear from you tonight if you want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. Easy as that. And welcome back to the show, Austin. How are you, my friend? You there?
Yes, excellent.
Excellent. All right, here we go. Let's see. Daryl did send a message. I'm here. Are you looking for me? Yeah, Daryl, if you want to be on the show, just tell me that you're in the caller queue. So I wasn't sure if you wanted to jump in here and mix it up with us. So if you do, you're definitely welcome. I just didn't want to put you on the spot here and move you into the chat when you weren't ready. Okay, so all right. So there's more to this. Now you got okay. So you have another. How about we were talking about Yoda. Now, do you want to maybe reset the Yoda conversation for just a little bit, and then we'll move on to some of this other stuff? Pick another Yoda quote that starts with a verb that you have on your list there. So the reason being is this, right? Austin has speculated now that Yoda speaks the green language, meaning that he has a way of maybe kind of cutting to the chase of the most important parts. And by saying that, he kind of starts with the verb first, which is the most important part of the language, meaning that when you say do or do not, there is no try. The do part in and of itself is the most important thing. You need to do it. You need to get off your ass and you need to do it. If you do any of that other stuff and put that part in your mind first, the back half of his sentence, there is no try, that's the doubt. So he starts with the action and then moves to the doubt, right? As like a warning. But the most important thing, if you just hear the very first thing he says, it's do. And that's the theory here that Austin brought to the green language conversation, which I thought was pretty brilliant. Do you have another one? Okay, cool. Daryl's ready. We'll go to Daryl in just a sec. Another one where maybe he uses a verb first in that sense.
Yes, this one's big. You're about to learn how much I know about English, because I'm guessing that this is the verb first one. So here's the test.
All right.
So I'm picking death is a natural part of life. Rejoice for those around you who transform into the Force. Mourn them, do not. Miss them, do not. Attachment leads to jealousy. The shadow of greed, that is. Did I get verbs first in those sentences of that quote?
That was a complicated one. So when he says mourn not, that's where he begins with the verbs first there.
Yeah, and then at the beginning he says death.
Yeah,
that's one sentence.
I guess death is more of a description of something else, not like the act of dying. That would be the verb. So yeah, when he starts with verbs first, it's the second half there. When he says mourn not, what else does he say? Start there.
What, at death?
No, mourn not when he says that part.
Okay, he says mourn them, do not. Attachment leads to jealousy. That's the next.
Okay, so mourn them, do not. And so that's, again, the verb is do not do that thing, which of course is rejoice, because they've passed on into whatever the next state of being is, right? So definitely good stuff. So we do have Daryl has confirmed that Daryl's ready to go, ready when we are, and there you go. What's up, Sherry? Does not know Yoda. That's okay. We'll introduce you one show at a time over the course of years. You'll get to know Yoda if you keep listening to this show. Okay, so we're talking about the green language tonight, guys. The very first language before the Tower of Babel, and specifically. Do you think what was the thing? Do the animals still speak this? Why is it called the language of the birds? We'll get to all that tonight. We're going to keep on trucking. Like I said, there's so much to talk about with this that it's amazing, and we could go just in depth just by ourselves, but it's important to include you guys in the conversation because you see all the amazing takes we've got thus far. Let's go to Daryl. Daryl in New York, welcome to the show. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and Austin. How are you?
Oh, good. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Go right ahead.
Cool.
What's on your mind tonight?
The funny thing is, for like a year when I was in Europe, we were always speaking like that. For some reason, we'd always say, "It's pretty, the girl," or "It's funny, the joke," or "It's ugly, the coat," or whatever. And I don't remember why. We were always talking like that. The whole cast of Hair were constantly doing this. It was like an inside joke, and I can't remember why we were speaking like this. Anyway, I just wanted to just throw that in there. I don't know why we were speaking like that.
So you got a taste of it. You know what it tastes like.
It was the in joke. I think it was the way that somebody spoke in the cast that was French. When they spoke in English, they would always speak like that word for word. Their translation was a little funny, and of course we made fun of them. We were young and very rude, but so were the French. But anyway.
Right. Well,
do you remember how that made you feel?
Pardon me?
Do you remember how it made you feel? Like, did you feel different when you spoke like that? Were you laughing a lot? You couldn't, it was funny, right?
It was a stupid in joke, and it made everybody giggle, you know?
Yeah, it does. That's funny, though, because that's what happened to me.
Really? Wow. He's funny, the joke. I know. I don't know. We were always
funny. The joke is, yeah. Okay. So check this out. So so it makes sense. Like if you're kind of a not a native English speaker, because in Spanish they do a lot of the same reversal type stuff, and they have tense, like a particular tense in Spanish that we don't have.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, so that's what it is. It's like when you speak Spanish, it kind of goes reverse. It kind of goes the other way. So that makes sense to me that they would speak that way. So, but I wonder, right? So, what do you think about the rest of this, about the Tower of Babel and the original speech? Do you have a take on that?
Well, I have my thoughts initially. Like, I think our original sounds were animal sounds, like moo and meow and whatever the birds do. Birds. I was with like an ornithologist, I think they call them, on some kind of sightseeing tour somewhere, and they could make like, I don't know how many bird sounds, like, just to find their birds. Like they would have a book and they would, try to find the birds in nature and sing to them with their, whatever they sounded like. And there were so many different, whistles or, cuckoo, cuckoo. So many different ways of, cock-a-doodle-doo, any cock-a-doodle, whatever. And, so many ways that a bird can sing.
I heard that.
I'm sorry.
You're okay. That's funny. Go ahead.
And then I was going to bring up the Gilda Radner song, but that's very dirty, too. I'll just put the lyrics. I'll put the lyrics. You know that song, Talk the animals, the animals. Anyway, I'll put that in chat. That's a little too naughty.
Okay.
But I think we probably made animal songs to try to call to the animals that we would hunt, or maybe that we would like, or to calm them down, or to run away, or to warn somebody, woof woof, wolf, or vicious whatever.
Howling.
is up ahead. So I think we probably made more animal sounds. There are other sounds I think we would make would be like groans. Like if you hit your thumb on with a hammer, you'd go, oh, what did you say before Jesus was here? I don't know, whatever, oh, ouch, oh, whatever you would say when you stubbed your toe. Like it was groaning sounds for pain or pleasure sounds for whatever you enjoyed. I think those were the original languages. And then I think between birds, obviously they have incredible communication amongst each other. And I wanted to mention this. There was a girl named Elizabeth England. She was a psychic, and she could talk to dogs or cats or any animal. She would know what they were thinking, and like she even babysat a dog, and like the dog had this like some kind of lump by his bum, and she told the owner, you better take him to the vet. There's something by his bum, and the vet's like, how would you know that? Because he took him to the vet and it was true. How'd you know that? She goes, well, she couldn't say, well, he told me, because he would think she was nuts. But I found that remarkable that she knew exactly what was wrong with the dog's health because he told her. So I think people that can speak to animals like dog sitters, they have an ability to, communicate somehow telepathically, so that the dogs all behave like when they're in his care. You ever see the dogs fight when they're being walked by one of these people? Like, it's incredible how well behaved they all become. So there's got to be something there, that calms the dogs down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, and another.
Yeah.
There was one.
Go ahead.
One more thing. A woman was talking about how she had taught a dog like 80 different like language behaviors. I guess they're behaviors more than sound, like speech, but a behavior could be interpreted as language. And also a woman had taught her baby, like she said her baby never cried because he communicated like when it was hungry. She made signs, made him express itself and communicate what hunger meant, what the wet diaper meant, the reasons that babies would cry. And her baby never cried because he would say what was wrong with it. And she would go, okay, we'll feed you now. And he'd go, okay, hurry up, whatever. And until he had verbal language, that's how they communicated. So I would just want to bring those were my points I wanted to mention.
Yeah, I think sort of this too is it becomes, so we're talking about the language of the birds, the initial language before the Tower of Babel. It seems to be the same thing as communing with nature, right? Like sort of in the same sense of exactly like you're describing, whether it can be, maybe listening to the trees whisper to each other, right? Maybe listening to what dogs say. Dogs are trying to say something when they're giving you the googly eyes, or they're right, the body language, they're chirping or they're barking. They're trying to say something. And so if you're in tune with that, I think it is. It's more of that. I would say probably, like, let's add it to the list here of maybe not telepathic communication, but some sort of communing with the natural world, sort of like I don't know, like I'm not even sure how in terms you would quantify that, other than maybe like a meditative state. Sort of, being able to hear that whisper in the trees. They communicate with each other. And so it's not, so it's not necessarily through the whispers, but it's through their ecosystem, through the root system, through the fungus down there. They have an entire communication system that's true, that they've scientifically tested and proved. So I've got an article on that too. I'll pull it up and pull it up as we go and talk about this stuff. But I think you're right. I think it's not just necessarily maybe etymology or things like this, or maybe just straight telepathy. It's some other ways. It's like what does Yoda say, right? Well, how will I know, Master Yoda? When you were calm, when you were at peace. That's how you will know, right? It's the same sort of thing. It's like communing with nature. It tells you what you need to know. You don't have to really ask the questions. You just be passive and kind of can maybe absorb some of that information. So just another take on that. But yeah, I think you're spot on with the dog stuff and communicating with the baby. She just knew before the baby could speak. Very, very, very good stuff. Anything else? What we got you on, Daryl?
Well, I think Rivers, if she's around, she communicates with nature, and I know she knows a lot about this if she's not too shy to call in. Just saying.
Just saying. Everybody's welcome to call on us, Rivers included. If you guys want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Jump in the Discord, hop on in, come say hi. All right, so anything else while we got you on? We got a little bit more to get to here, so we're going to keep on trucking.
We'll keep on going. Good show. Great show.
Do you want to stay here in the chat and listen, or do you want me to move you out?
Well, you can move me on.
Okay. Thank you very much. You're the best, Daryl. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. Thanks for listening.
Good night. Good night.
All right, there you go. Simple as that. You can be on the show by smashing these numbers. And let's see. There you go. 702-957-1037. TroubledMinds.org. Click the Discord link, and we'll put you on the show. All right, so anything with that, Austin, that Daryl had to say? Interesting stuff, huh?
Yes, it was extremely interesting. I'm kind of drawing blanks. There was a couple things that I thought of, but I'm drawing blanks on it right now. It'll come naturally. When you let it go, it always comes back, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Another good one here from the Night Stalker. He pinged me here. He says this, I'm not going to call back, but there's a take that English is actually having a negative metaphysical effect. It changes how water freezes, etc. And the example I always remember is bless you, or as an example of be less you. Is the way that goes as an example of the language having opposite meanings. And there you go. Interesting. More hot takes, more good stuff.
Yeah.
Bless you is be less you. There you go.
And people say God be less you, then what is that? When they say God be less you.
Ooh, that's a good question. Like maybe cursing you? God making you less? Holy smokes. Yeah, I don't know.
You are less.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know, but I think that's part of it, right? It's part of it's not just etymology, like we say. It's not just back to the Latin roots and all this. It's the way the words are constructed. It seems to have sometimes a hidden meaning, right? And that's kind of what we're thinking about tonight. Is Sherry says water reacts to words in the chat here, and I think this is what we're talking about. The exact same stuff here in different chats, which is again amazing. People kind of tune into the same wavelength. But okay, so there's more. So let me just read you this real quick. Just back to this. This is from Karm.org. This is from the Quran, King Solomon, and the late Jewish mythology. And so the reason why they call this the language of the bird, just to kind of wrap up the conversation in terms of where this name came from and where this idea actually originated, is it's biblical. It's beyond biblical. It goes way, way, way back to the time of Solomon. And so right here we go. There's a story in the Quran about Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, recorded in Surah 27:15-44. This is in the Quran, of course. This fascinating story is obviously not found anywhere in the Bible. In the story, Solomon was taught by God the language of the birds. Solomon calls together an army of birds, men, and jinn, which of course are demons or spirits. And Solomon is angered to find that the hoopoe bird has not come to the assembly, and threatens to have the bird killed if it does not come with a good reason for his absence. The bird soon arrives and explains that he was surveying the territory that Solomon did not possess and found a woman ruling over Saba or Sheba on a magnificent throne. Her people worship the sun instead of God. Solomon sends the message through the hoopoe bird to the queen, calling her not to be arrogant, but to come to him in submission. Her advisors are inclined against Solomon, but she rejects their advice and goes to Solomon in righteous submission. Solomon has a jinn transport her throne to his kingdom as a sign. When she reaches Solomon's palace, there is a floor made of glass, which she mistakes for water, and lifts her dress to wade through it, for which she must be corrected. Okay, so there's more stuff here with the Quran and some of this other stuff. But point being, right, is that they say that Solomon was actually able to summon and wield the power of demons. And they built his original temple, the original Temple of Solomon. And so there's some actual language here that's really deriving that language of the birds, that his power came from the fact that these birds have been, right, in these ecosystems for millions of years together. Think about that. If we're talking about the language of the birds, they've been around a lot longer than humans, right? So they've been kind of sharing information back and forth. And if you can just bless unto somebody the ability to speak that language, basically all the knowledge of the world can come to you, right? Sort of in that sense. What do you think?
Yeah, it reminds me of the Solomon, or Sol, O, Moon, sun and moon, because Sol goes back to sun. as well. So like sun, the knowledge of the sun and the moon, the sun, the temple of the sun and the moon, and then Temp L. You get that L going on again, but Temp L, you know, the mind or the body is the holy temple. You know, the mind has an area that is called the temple, and yeah, that kind of reminds me of Jacob going to speak to God. He was trying to figure out how he could come in contact with him, and then he came in contact with God in a land that he called Peniel. And there, yeah, maybe I shouldn't go too far with that one.
Yeah, that's little too rabbit holey, because again, we only have so much time. That's why I wanted to kind of keep it short with some of the things we talk about in the first couple hours. As you know, we got radio breaks and all that stuff. Hate to cut off people in the middle of a point.
Oh yeah, go for it.
But okay, so let's just finish with this. So there's some other good stuff here that Night Stalker has another good point. The birds are all dinosaurs, so this is actually the language of the giant monster lizards. Right? Could be.
Wow.
There it is. Liam says there's also that saying too, a little birdie told me, when there's a secret.
Oh my gosh, I have a bunch of those things like that. I was looking at the etymology. If anyone looks up the etymology of bird, you'll find things like bird bath, bird brain, bird cage, bird dog, bird or birdie, bird time, bribe, chick, for example, or bird, B-U-R-D, which was confused with bride, and birth, middle finger held up in a rude gesture.
The bird is the middle finger.
Or hissing to someone like a goose. Or boos and hisses, cat calls.
Yeah, again, like I said, if you kind of track down some of the originations of these stories, that who knows where this stuff came from? Maybe it is based in the green language and this type of thing. Go ahead.
I think Daryl had a lot of good things to say about this, because like there was some things that I remembered, but I really feel like she said it so well that there's very little I could have even said. I can't really even remember.
That's okay. All right, so I got some more. So now they call it the language of the birds, right? And so birds sing to each other. And so not only that, I've got this amazing story we'll get into in the third hour here, but just a brief of the story is that a bird in particular, this one individual in the 1930s taught his bird to sing two particular songs. The bird escaped. So now 60 years later, I think this is in Paris, this same breed of bird is found singing these songs generations later, that he taught the bird how to sing these songs properly, the proper way to sing, right? And they were great imitators. I forgot the actual bird itself. I've got the article. We'll get to it. Just no time right now. But point being is they taught each other through generations how to sing these songs based on this guy that taught his bird these songs, and they escaped. It's crazy, man. Like some of this stuff, right? And so imagine if the birds are passing from generation to generation, things like that. That therein lies the power of Solomon, does it not? I think that's that kind of to bring that story all the way back around as the something to that effect. Anyway, as we finish up, we only got a couple minutes left. So final thoughts while we're on the radio here, Austin. Anything you want to add to maybe an overall theory, or maybe you have social media? You got anything people want to find you? Where would they find you? Where would they come say hi to Austin?
Well, I did not really expect that at all. I would have to say in the after parties for Troubled Minds for now, because I just don't really have any people coming to find me.
Okay. So, yeah. Well, it's not always a good thing if people are coming to find you. So we'll just leave it at that.
If they want to, I'll be in the Shooting the Breeze after the show.
There you go.
And
He's in our Discord. Yeah. Just come join either this Discord or the Fringe Discord, troubledminds.org, fringe.fm/chat. He's in both of those, so you can find him in either place.
But
okay.
I have a couple guesses for the birds. It's probably either the African gray herring, my grandpa had one, or it's one of those white-looking birds that are kind of in the same family. It's like got the long hair and the yellow marking, or maybe it's one of those colorful, like greenish, yellowish ones.
I'm not sure.
Those are my best guess.
I've got the article and I got the name. I just have no time. We are literally out of time. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to smash the music and we're going to finish up. This is the thing, right? Like I said, we do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We try and keep it open-ended, try and keep it non-linear, try and let our minds wander. And this one is one of those ones that's just too big. We did a show on this about a year ago, and I was just fumbling with the idea of the green language, the language of the birds. And here we are a second time, right? And there's still so much to talk about. And again, best when you guys chime in because we can get together and start to figure these things out. So that's what we do on the show. That's what it's all about. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for hanging out with us. As we finish, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void on Fringe FM. If you're listening anywhere else, podcast feed or any of the streaming platforms, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you, Austin, for being here with us tonight. Appreciate it, my man.
Yes. It was an honor, truly.
Thank you. And you as well. All right, we're done. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. All right, so we are off of Fringe now. Here's what we're going to do. You guys know the drill. We are going to take a 2-minute break, and we're going to come back for a third hour of Troubled Minds. We're still taking your phone calls. We're still talking about the original language, the green language, the language of the birds, the Tower of Babel, all that. Whatever you guys want to think about, is it some sort of communing with nature? Is it some sort of meditation? What's going on with this? Is it actual telepathy? Is it nothing at all? Is it something we continue to talk about to kind of keep our minds wandering? You tell me. I'm open to all those things. So if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037 and 2-minute break right now. 2 minutes and counting. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds in 2 minutes. Austin, take a couple minute break. And I'm not going to mute you now. You're good. Because we're not going to mess up radio time or anything. So 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Be right back. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are here with our good friend Austin from Michigan, and we're talking about the green language tonight. We're talking about the very original language before the Tower of Babel. If humans were to speak one thing a long time ago, before the languages got busted up and spread all over the world, what do you think it was? We've talked about nonverbal. We've talked about possible telepathy. We've talked about all kinds of differences here, and maybe even some esoteric type things like Merlin or Yoda, maybe speaking in terms of backwards speech, right? Maybe not exactly backwards, but reforming their grammar so as to maybe make a more salient point versus some of this rambly garbage that I do when I talk. You know what I'm saying? For example, just as a good example. Good night, Fred. Thanks for hanging out with us. And what's up? What's going on, Marge? Thanks for showing up. You are late. The Mockingjay from the Hunger Games says Lazy Guy X. What's up? What's going on? Have you heard? The bird is the word. Yep. The bird. Yeah. Bird is the word. What's up, Austin? What's up, buddy?
Yeah, I was just thinking about what if the original languages are backwards? Well, what if our language is backwards and theirs is actually forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. Just jumbled speech, like Derek was describing earlier. That maybe it's sort of a way to maybe disconnect our minds from whatever like broken speech we speak now into something more divine, more of that divine type of language. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the kind of stuff that makes you wonder. But yeah, so we could do more Yoda. Do you have more Yoda stuff? What do you want to talk about, man? I got all kinds of crap here I could talk about. So we left off with King Solomon. I was corrected by Vicky in the chat there, and this is where I'm glad to have you guys, because Vicky says that that King Solomon didn't command demons. Let's see, it was what was it? Well, let me read the exact comment here. Solomon did not have powers over demons. He had the powers over the jinn and animals. He talked to the animals. There you go. So like I said, and correct me because, well, I'm wrong most of the time, by the way. It's just, notice you can still be wrong a lot and still, kind of run a decent conversation.
There is a book that pertains to Solomon using spirits to do stuff without toil, and the 72 lesser keys of Solomon, and then there's the 72 higher keys.
Yeah, I don't think that's old style though. I think that's newer. I think that's like 1800s or early 1900s, something like that. I don't know. I thought so too, actually. I thought that was like the actual like spells that Solomon, supposedly used to control the powers that be. But no, it's I was corrected actually, and it's I believe it's 1890 or something like that, somewhere in that range when that stuff was written about. Yeah. So anyway, I think they just named it after that. So anyway, all right. So what we're doing tonight, we're talking about that, and we're taking your calls. What do you guys think about this stuff? Is it, like I said, is it strange that we're thinking in terms of what an original language may have been, and not only that, is it even more weird that it may have been telepathic? I find an odd parallel. Do you guys remember that story about the alien base and the cave in Anjali? You guys remember all that? Remember that story? Yeah. So actually, she said that the aliens that so just the cliff notes for people that haven't followed. We've done a couple shows about it, but I know everybody doesn't listen to every show. So this Anjali person has said, now it traces back to this green language stuff, so bear with me. We're talking aliens now for just a sec. So this individual that worked in the intelligence, the DIA back in the Bush administration, she's now retired. She says that she actually came into contact with extraterrestrials in a cave in Southern California. All right. And she's had a press conference, and we talked about all this on a previous show. And she's now setting up an expedition with cameras on the whole deal to take people to the alien base, and with the aliens' approval. But notably, one of the main things she said the aliens have actually said to her, telepathically, by the way, because that's how they communicate, is that people need to get over this language stuff, and we need to learn how to to communicate telepathically. See what I did there? You get two words smashed in the same mind space, and you make up your own words. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes you just sound like an idiot. Well, what are you going to do? But point being is that her what she's describing the aliens as saying is, look, you guys have way too many misunderstandings that are just lost in translation. And you guys need to get back. They didn't say this and they didn't reference this, but this is what they're describing. You guys need to get back to some sort of telepathic communication and and so a return, as it were, to the green language. Interesting, eh? Interesting. So nice parallel with like kind of a modern story there. She hasn't turned up aliens yet. I think they're going sometime in December, but I'm rooting for her. I'm hoping she pulls a purple mantis out of that cave, because I will be stoked. I will be so excited. You familiar with that story, Austin?
No, I am not.
Okay, so in any case, she said that's what the aliens told her, that we need to get over this language stuff and learn to communicate telepathically, because it's the next step in our evolution, is what she said. So there you go. I thought it was a kind of a fascinating parallel to this green language stuff and where it started. Let's see, what else do we got? Robert says on Rockfin, the reason we humans gave up telepathy for making sounds into words was we wanted to sing. We wanted to sing. Sing, sing, sing. Yeah, the birds sing, don't they? I think that's the thing. Yeah, back to the birds singing. But yeah, so
everyone has their own song.
Yeah, everyone has their own song. There you go. Yeah, there's more here. Where is that bird article? Here we go. Here's the one. This is what Tam Bam was talking about earlier, and this is completely true. I'm going to post this in the chat. Again, all these links are already down on YouTube, so you can find them if you want to follow all the stuff that I kind of looked into to talk about this show tonight. And there it is. This is from Yale.edu, E360, and exploring how and why trees talk to each other. All right. And so it kind of goes, it's an in-depth article and it's really good stuff, but it boils down to, I can read a little bit of this, but it boils down to exactly what we were describing, is that they have a network. Here we go. Ecologist Suzanne Simard has shown how trees use a network of soil fungi to communicate their needs and aid neighboring plants. Now she's warning that threats like clear-cutting and climate change could disrupt these critical networks. So this is actually back in September of 2016 when she wrote this, but exactly describing sort of the same things we've been talking about tonight is that, you know, if you listen to the whispering of the trees, like I was saying earlier, is that they're communicating with each other, not through the whisper and the rustle in the wind, but they have a network. They have an entire ecosystem network that's kind of built underneath the root structure and in with the fungi and all the rest of that stuff. So interesting, huh? Kind of makes me go, oh, maybe this is maybe we're as dumb as we think we humans are, because it seems like everything else has seemed to figure it out, right?
Yeah, nature operates a lot like us with the clean electricity aspect. You know, the clean electricity, that's not very specific.
I wasn't laughing at you. I'll tell you the comment I laughed at. But yeah, go ahead. No, you're right. So clean electricity, I know what you're saying. Go ahead.
So electromagnetic electricity is supposed to be like micro explosion, supposed to be like a dirty electricity. That's why like the Amish traditionally are against those forms of electricity, because traditionally they understand clean electricity and grounding. You know, you take your socks off and you put your feet in the grass or whatever, you walk through the forest, and it has a frequency that synchronizes with your frequency, and they call it grounding for a reason. And it's almost like an electrician, you know, like if you want your battery to work better, it's got to have a ground, or it'll short out and it won't work.
Exactly. And so, and not only that, all the stuff inside the body is all electro, right? Electronic firing of synapses and these things. Like we're all running on that stuff anyway. It's just kind of about the battery. A few great comments here I got to read. Sorry, go ahead.
Go for it. So I was going to get into what I've been reading this book that helped explain it on a pretty deep level, how the human body is the similarities between it and nature, and how our body holds the secrets to free energy and how it operates. Being that the heart is not a pump. Rudolf Steiner said, he said that I can't figure out how to word this, but if people don't figure out that the heart is not a pump, then we're like doomed, because it's geometrically shaped in such a way to where it creates its own vortex. And there's a museum that has a shape with the same mathematics into it as the heart has, the same symmetrical design, and it creates a vortex when it's put inside a cup, and its own vortex, right? And then you got the veins in the body. They have structured water, bulk water, and then the tube all creates its own charge, so that your veins itself is what pushes the blood through your body, it having some kind of electric charge, or blood being plasma or just regular blood. So in other words, it changes the whole idea of how the body works, looking at it this way, because that would mean that all your blood veins are responsible for the circulation throughout your body, not just the heart. The heart's not even pumping anything. It's just shaped in such a way where it creates its own vortex.
Right. Yeah. Good stuff, man.
I can post that book. It is Human Heart, Cosmic Heart, A Doctor's Quest to Understand, Treat, and Prevent Cardiovascular Disease. Thomas Cohen, MD.
Okay, cool.
I'll post that in general.
Please do. All right, that'll be in the Discord, guys. If you haven't joined the Discord, there you go. So some really great comments here. Where was that one? I just took it off. Lacey said this. Hold on. Something about, here we go. Lacey in the Discord says, Priscilla Dunstan teaches baby language. Babies have reflex sounds for hunger, burp, comfort, it's sleepy. If you can comfort before they cry, babies trust more and more, and let's see, trust more and more, I think. Yeah, there's no. All right, cool. Yeah, good stuff. Thank you, Lacey. Great comment. And I think that's part of this, right? Part of that whole, everything has a language. Like we say dogs or animals or whatever, right? That's what this is kind of about. It's language as we know it. It seems to be, it is complex for sure. Like I described when we began tonight, you can't say hello, but you can say it, 1,000 different ways with different intentions, right? Like, you ever notice when you're around somebody that doesn't like you and they say hello to you and it's kind of like, hello, right? it's kind of like, like they got a droopy lip or something, right? You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes they're clever though, and they will put off this vibe that they're really close and you just know something's off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, but it's still the opposite, right? It's like they're kind of they're chipping into like the phony, right? They're kind of dipping into that and trying to fool you. But that can be detected as well. But some people, it goes both ways. But definitely. But see, again, the exact same thing. We're talking about saying hello 1,000 different ways. I'm talking about like telegraphing your dislike for something, and you're telegraphing dishonesty in the level of dislike. And so it can go layers deep, some of these just single words where they mean so many different things. And so I think this is really what this is all about, this back to the language of the birds and the green language thing. We are kind of locked into these patterns of all of those things where we don't even need words necessarily. Probably most times if we're paying attention, we'd be able to communicate without those things. Definitely good stuff. Thank you for the comment, Lacey. Let's see. Lazy Guy X says the word Babel originated from the biblical story from Genesis in which everyone spoke the same language. Yes, sir. You are right on. Let's see. The people decided to build a tower of brick. Yep. Which would reach the heavens. They were trying to make the name for themselves according to biblical history. God, seeing this, went down and confused their language. Yep. Exactly what we're talking about tonight. And what was the language before that point? And this is what I laughed at when you were talking, Austin. Daryl in the chat said, I want to telepate. That's the word I made up. That's made me laugh.
Yeah, I'll call him on the telephone.
Telepate. Yeah, right. The new whatever. I don't know. I'm enough.
Telegraph, telephone.
Telepate. There you go. Jennifer says Solomon had power over demons. The demons are named and they followed from Greek, Egyptian, Jewish, Christian, Arabic, and other traditions. According to the story, he had command by means of a ring from the archangel Michael. There you go. Matt adds to your conversation. There you go. The heart generates its own magnetic field, he says. So yeah, good stuff there.
Yes.
Good stuff there. There it is. So the ring also granted him the power to speak with animals and plants. My Bible knowledge is so lacking that I'm not going to argue with anybody. You're all right. You're all right. I have no idea. But okay, so good stuff. Thank you for filling in those gaps for me because, yeah, like I said, when you kind of start kind of in general terms, I always say I'm like a 10,000-foot view of things. If I spend too much time in the details, nothing will ever get done. So I don't spend a ton of time doing that. So though it would make me a lot smarter and these shows a lot better, my God, the amount of time you'd have to put in would be like 10x, and I just don't have 10x. I don't have that much time.
You gotta. This shows like it's really dependent on everyone that comes in, so it works out because you can focus on what's important to keep things going, and then people can come in and they'll lay it out, and then you can lightly look over it. Like you get a lot of really intelligent people on here, so.
Exactly right.
I was gonna bring up Bible though. Bible. It's reverse instead of E-L or it's L-E.
Yeah. And instead of Babel, I think Babel's the other way. Babel would be B-E-E-L. Yeah, and so Bible is L-E. Yeah, I'm not sure what the etymology is there. Like I said, a lot of that has specific reasons why they did those things. What it means, I don't know. I'm not. Again, I did read a book called "Who Wrote the Bible." If you guys have never read that, that's fascinating as hell, and it's done by a scholar from UC Berkeley. And it's incredible stuff. Like I'm really into that. I just wish I had more time to be doing stuff like that. Let's see, what else do we got? Who else is in the chat? Let's see. Yeah, there you go. James says apparently YouTube doesn't want us talking about telepathy. Probably.
Yeah.
Right. We're gonna get taken down. Content strike, violation. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. So
YouTube.
What's that?
That we won't need YouTube if we have telepathy.
Well, yeah, we wouldn't need anything, right? We just send it out into the.
How are they going to censor us now?
Right, out in the broadcast. Yep, out in the broadcast world, we would need radio or anything else. Okay, so there's more here. There's anything else to chip into that before we keep trucking here? There's tons of stuff I pulled up that kind of fit. Speaking about how birds move in unison, you want to talk about that?
Anytime. That always fascinates me. They do a lot of patterns. A lot of times when they're in the thousands, I see them moving and it looks like a wave.
Yep. And I brought this up before, and Night Stalker Derek touched on this. By the way, we're taking your phone calls, guys. What's your take on this? Again, like I said, sometimes we're a little bit way out there. Sometimes we're a little less. But tonight we're kind of way out there. We're speculating on history and the very beginning of human communication and what it looked like even before that moment. So if you have ideas on this, give us a call. We have open lines, and we're talking. We've got a Discord here. I'm on Discord with Austin, and we're just kind of going through some of the stuff that really sort of makes a compelling narrative on what's happening with this. And if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. TroubledMinds.org. Click the Discord link and get on in here. Come say hi.
Bird's eye view.
Bird's eye view. There you go. There's another one. All right, so check this out. Now this is pretty cool. I did link this, and so this is from earthsky.org, and this is exactly the thing. Starlings, right? They've got a photograph of thousands of starlings here in the sky. It's actually a YouTube video. I'm not going to play it for copyright reasons because, it's a trap. It's a trap. But here we go. This is, again, I linked it in the chat. We've all seen flocks of birds wheeling and swooping in unison as if choreographed. How do they do this? Zoologists say they aren't simply following a leader or their neighbors. If they were, the reaction time of each bird would need to be incredibly fast, faster than birds actually do react, according to scientists who have studied the reaction times of individual birds in laboratory settings. The classic research on how flocking birds move in unison comes from zoologist Wayne Potts, who published in the journal Nature in 1984. His work showed that bird in flocks don't just follow a leader or their neighbors. Instead, they anticipate sudden changes in the flock's direction of motion. So interesting. What is that? What is that? Does that mean it's a sort of a way that they are maybe time traveling of sorts? They know what's coming next. They anticipate it. What the hell is that? So he says, it continues, and he said, once a change in direction begins in the flock, it then spreads through the flock in a wave, right? So they're not reacting to it. They're anticipating it, and the change in behavior kind of whips through it like a wave, like Austin described there. So the propagation of this maneuver wave, as he called it, begins relatively slowly but can reach speeds 3 times faster than would be possible if birds were simply reacting to their immediate neighbors. Potts called this ability among flocking birds the chorus line hypothesis. That is, he said, birds are like dancers who see an approaching leg kick when it's still down the line and anticipate what to do. He said, quote, these propagation speeds appear to be achieved in much the same way as they are in a human chorus line. Individuals observe the approaching maneuver wave and time their own execution to coincide with its arrival. And so he used high-speed film and a frame-by-frame analysis on flocks of red-backed sandpipers to conduct this study. And he found that the flock typically responded only to birds that banked into the flock rather than away from it. So there you go. There you go. Interestingly, I don't know, hot take on that, Austin? Looking to hear from you guys. What do you think about this stuff? Good night, Bill. Thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Yeah, I think it's it has to do with our magnetic fields of the planet as well, because birds are very antenna-like, and they can pick up on the magnetic field. That's well known. How they pick up on the magnetic fields.
True, but now they're anticipating what happens next. So who's leading the charge, right? They're not following a leader or their neighbor per se. They're actually sensing the wave as it happens and kind of anticipating their place in that wave. So
maybe when they are not going in a direction magnetically driven, maybe they're just practicing getting in sync before they do that, before they actually migrate. You know, when you see them flying in circles and then they're gone.
Yeah, it could be. Looking for theories, guys. What do you think about this stuff? I have no idea. This is what I mean. Is this what they mean by the language of the birds? Some sort of a nonverbal communication when these things fly around. Like I said before, the guy taught, I've got that article here somewhere, I'll find it. So the guy taught his bird to sing these two particular songs, and generations down the line in the same species of bird in the same town, after the bird escaped, birds were still in the wild singing these songs. Something there, right? These birds are teaching things down the line, and yeah, there you go. Israel. Don't do it.
Oh yeah, that's one I didn't do. I didn't do that one.
let's not do that. Let's not do that. But okay, yeah, just because I know it triggers people, and it is divisive. Let's say. But yes, I get what you're saying. Good stuff there. What's up? Dirty Dur says I have AI. Telephone apathy. AI telephone apathy. Does that mean they're just watching you? Yes. Yes. There you go. Wish Rockfin had an edit button. Send that to Jaime. He seems to be pretty receptive to yeah. Check it out. Robert says, when we realize in time that we were the original robots created by the God to do the work while the gods sat their lazy asses on their thrones until we developed self-awareness and turned on our creators, now we are creating robots to do our work, and history repeats itself. I like it. I like the theories. This is one from Hey You in the chat says, Mike, birds aren't real, Mike. There we go. Birds aren't real. I've heard that. Have you heard that, Austin? Birds aren't real?
Yeah, I heard that before we did the show. I don't remember who said that. But I thought it was funny at the time, but now it's like, I'm just thinking about it now.
Right. All good. All right, looking to hear from you guys. What do you think about this stuff? Like I said, are you bored? This happened last time, too, when I did the show. Like, it seemed like people were bored with the conversation. I don't know. It's so deep and so rich. I think maybe that's I'm not sure. Like, it's kind of hard to maybe put into words exactly what you think and how you think of this. Maybe that's part of it, or maybe people are bored with it. I think it's fascinating as hell. I could talk about this all week long, to be honest, and just kind of trim out like these different slices of things that I've pulled out in articles and like kind of go in depth on each one. Because it seems that deep. It's just, I think it's hard to kind of bring it back to the original message, which of course is what was the language, the language of angels, right? That's probably makes more sense to people. The language before humans were, broken up in that Tower of Babel story. And, when you say the green language or the language of the birds. So let's actually pull up why they call it that stuff. Let's see, here we go. There's some pretty good stuff here. Where's that Crystal Links one? There's the Crystal Links one. Divine language of the birds. There's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so actually if you look at bird language itself, here's subtle things: eye contact, personal space, tone of voice, the volume, overall energy and emotion, and body language, right? So there's all these studies on birds themselves and exactly how they do this stuff. And so it's like I said, the more you kind of dig into this, the more of a rabbit hole it becomes, because there's a ton of information here. What else do we got? Let's see. Where's that one? I want to bring up that Crystal Links thing because it was fantastic describing this. Is that the one? No. And there's these old stories too. Oh, speaking of which, so the language of the birds, right? So they sing to each other, right? Most of the time birds are singing when they're happy and in the morning, right? When they're communicating, right? Like kind of bliss. It's sort of that type of thing. And, some mimic well and the rest of this. But that singing sensation that comes from birds is more of a happy tone, right? And they're kind of just chattering, chirping, and, you can sense it. Without even knowing what they're saying, you can kind of sense it, right? But then, so the language of the birds becomes, because they're singing to each other, it also becomes the language of the bards. The bards. You know the bards, Austin? Language of the bards.
I haven't heard of the bards, but that reminds me of the bar.
Not quite the bar. The bard is a singer, a troubadour, of people that would travel and sing songs, right? It's how
like Christmas carols.
Kind of, but right, it would be more like folk songs and things like this. And so if, like, let's say Austin the Mighty did a deed and killed like the mighty bull of whatever, the Minotaur or something, in that area, the way word would travel back in the old days is the bard would take it. They'd write a song about it, and then they'd travel, and then they'd sing that song in different taverns and, like you said, bars maybe, and kind of spread the word. So it was more of like a musical tradition and how they spread the word kind of through the countryside. And so it is sort of the same thing, but it is I don't know. I think in those terms it's the bards, the language of the bards is the same. It
reminds me of Franz Barden.
Okay, continue.
Franz Barden, author of the Initiation into Hermetics. It's supposed to be a training manual for the practice of the mental extension through the mind. Basically, through practice, trained meditation with strict steps. It's supposed to extend your mind like you would do workouts, like you work your way up in weights. It's like that. It's pretty organized.
Gotcha.
But he was like the closest thing to a real Jedi that I could ever find in history, closest to now. Like Hitler heard about him, and he had his best men go get him. And what they did was they actually cut off their whole platoon, and they captured their whole platoon because they wanted this guy so bad. And they did, and they locked him up. And Hitler wanted to test to see how invincible this guy was. So he let all of his people, his whole platoon, starve to death except for one guy, and which was Franz's friend. It was his buddy that he picked that sought after his knowledge, and they were like collecting moisture off the walls and surviving off of it. And then he learned so much from him that he decided he was like, forget it, I'm not waiting anymore. He's like, I'm breaking out. And he hypnotized the guards, and almost got out, but the hypnosis only lasted so long that he got caught, and then they killed him. And then Franz was still there, and then the Allies finally came, and Franz was released.
They saved him, huh? Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
It's like he was... Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like he accepted, like, destiny, but he was like... I don't know what it was about him. I could only imagine the conversation in the cell, like he was like, no, don't do it. You're impatient. He was probably like, patience you must have. And he's like, no, I'm not waiting.
Yeah, exactly. So we got Jay we're going to go to. We got a phone call before that. So let's go to this call. Go ahead and catch up, Jay. I'm not sure who this is. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and Austin. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's nice talking again. I lied. I called back.
Oh, what's up, buddy? What's going on? Welcome back.
I'll be real quick because it's my second time. But
you're fine.
I just wanted to add the idea of the I wonder if it's connected to the like the idea of the songs of the spheres, or the sounds of the spheres, that like each planet has its own like natural tone to it, and perhaps like birds and trees and stuff are like tendrils, like they're connected to that original like song of the sphere, like the way you described how the trees use fungus to communicate like through the network. I wonder if like nature itself, the earth body itself, is using like birds, like gets like as consciousness like progresses outwards, you get kind of like farther away from the source, but like the way they move, like even like I sit like so long outside, just like kind of smoking and just watching the animals and stuff, and even like the way like squirrels or like birds that are like on the ground operate, it almost looks like they're looking for worms and stuff in their own little zones. Like it's all one mind, kind of like reaching out with like a bunch of different tendrils in order to like do whatever it has to do. And we've kind of like, we see that and we collect this collective consciousness glimpses, but it's like much more removed because we've separated ourselves a little bit. Like language itself is symbols to represent words. It's like separating that immediate thing, like what it really is, and replacing it with a symbol. So like with the whole alien connection, like that we have to evolve the ability to be telepathic. Perhaps we did lose it, and it is like the Kali Yuga, the idea of these yugas, where like it's like a sine wave where we like ebb and flow. And then in the past we were telepathic, we lost it. We went down to like we had amnesia or whatever. We lost everything. We started using grunts and animal noises and stuff, and we have to build back up to telepathy. And that's kind of what maybe we're doing with like emojis and stuff and like the internet, because like I don't know, people can like read each other even via the internet. If you were to like watch like a person who's not very internet literate try to communicate versus somebody who's always online, you can see the difference, like a little bit, whatever that is. I don't know, but I figured that all that's kind of interesting. Great job, you guys. Really cool show tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it, my man. Thank you for calling. Anything else while we got you on?
Great stuff. I got to figure out a way to charge this phone so I can hop in the after show.
Okay.
I got a possible name for the after show, like Outside Our Minds or Outside the Minds, because it's like Troubled Mind after show.
Nice. I like it. Outside the Minds. I like it. Let's do it. Let's book it.
Something like that. All right. Later, you guys. Great stuff.
Thanks, Derek. Appreciate the call. Always great stuff. There you go. There's a Night Stalker calling back. He's at work. And he's like, hey, he's taking some time out, hiding around the corner so he can call in and tell us about some amazing stuff. So I do like it. Maybe so the musical instance too, right? So when you think about, like I said, birds singing in that sense, back to Tolkien. If you ever read the Silmarillion, and Tolkien was a linguist, right? J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote the Lord of the Rings. He started his creation story with music. It was the elder gods singing in this space, like this universal space that had yet to be filled, and so it was this beautiful sound of just being, right, like of the beauty before life. It was kind of described in that way, and so and then of course, right, like in any story, there has to be a dark side, and so. There became one person. His name was Melkor, I believe, and this is from Lord of the Rings. Like I said, I'm a giant nerd. I promise you. You guys already know, but Melkor started to sing discordantly. He started to change the dynamic of the beautiful sound that was to bring about life in the universe, and of course. He became the enemy, right? Everybody, there's always got to be one, right, that steps out of line. Always got to be one, right? Yeah, I don't know. Anything vibe with you there, Austin? We got some other calls to take here. Looks like James jumped back in there. Good stuff. We got some chat to read. You there, buddy? You with me?
Yep.
All right. So we got, there's more chat to read. Here we go. We're going to do this. We've got, Hal says, birds have talked to me when I've been in other states of mind. Well, there you go. Maybe you know the language of the birds. Jennifer adds, maybe it's figurative, as in people spoke to each other in some more natural way and we were able to understand one another more clearly. Continuing, because it doesn't seem like animals are confused by one another. Birds do not misunderstand what another bird means. And they communicate very clearly without confusion. And so there you go. So is it, maybe not literal? Maybe it's kind of a back to a figurative version of the same concept, maybe, right? Yeah, good stuff. Let's see. The creation story in the Silmarillion is so beautiful and so metal. There you go, metal. If you guys haven't read Tolkien, he's I think he was trying to figure it out. He was trying to be that guy. Let's see. What else do we got? Birds will fight other birds over territory and food, says Robert. Yep. Tone deaf in a universal chorus. It's terrible. The singer, right? Yeah. Check it out. Melkor is the guy. I'm pretty sure he was the guy. So anyway, there we go. We're going to keep on trucking. More comments to read. Let's go to James. James Salcido. What's up, buddy? Are you back there for a reason? You got some stuff to say?
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah, well, thank you. I was just thinking about talking about the way birds move through the air and everything, and how they move in waves and everything. And it just had me thinking again of like the whole, almost like the other night, the whole the electromagnetism, the energy, the magnetic fields and all that stuff. And I wonder if they can use that energy somehow to communicate.
Ah, interesting. The original wireless.
So that's just what I'm wondering if that has something to do with it.
Yeah, it's a thought. They're clearly using the electromagnetic field somehow to communicate with the way they migrate. I think that's been proven for sure, and how they stay in formation and those waves and all the rest of that. So I wonder, man. I wonder if there's more of a actual kind of woo-woo way to kind of write that in using like maybe science and the electromagnetic field. I like it, man. Great theory. I dig it.
Yeah, so that was it. I'll get going, but that was it. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you, James. There we go. Like I said, you guys are welcome. That's why we do the third hour, to kind of let it devolve into whatever it ends up being, right? Whatever, let our minds wander, maybe a second idea comes around, and the rest of this. So we're just kind of kicking it, reading the chat and hanging out. Lots of great folks in the chat and making great comments. You guys are making me laugh. You got Sherry, have a good night. Thanks for hanging out with us. All right, so what else do we got? Keep reading the chat and keep going to the calls. Anything else, Austin? Real quick, we got Rohan on the line. We're going to go to him, and then we'll go to Jay after that.
Yeah, let's just roll through.
Let's roll it. Bang bang.
Yeah, those are good colors.
Bang, bang.
We get all good colors, but I'm really interested in the next two.
Okay, let's do it. Let's go to Rohan, the mighty Rohan.
Oh, wait. Jay was there first, though.
I know Jay stays for the outro. Jay's the outro. So we do it this way because he starts listening late. Then he listens on,
all right.
He listens on double time, and then we let him time to catch up, and then he comments at the end. We got a system here, man. The mighty Rohan.
Yeah.
The mighty Rohan.
I'm new to it.
Welcome to the show. What's going on, bro?
How you doing? You're right, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good show, man. So, it's all right. Because I was reading, I just got that book. I think I told you I got that book about the Box Saga, which is about an ancient language, mysterious language. So this is interesting, because once I read that, you never know, I might be able to make some links. But yeah, I got a couple of comments on things, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course. Real quick before you go, we're getting an algo raid. Algorithm, send a bunch of folks over here. Thank you guys. Welcome to the show. Algo, if you're there, I took a look at your channel. We'll talk. Thanks, guys, for coming over. I see you guys there. Everybody popped in the chat saying they came over from Algorithm's channel. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Go right ahead, Rohan. Give us some theories.
Oh, I'm taking notes. Hang on. It's Algorithm. Got it. Yeah, anyway.
Got it.
Yeah. Credo Mutwa, you've heard of him? You've heard of David Icke, can't you? No, everyone's heard of David Icke, I think, in this game.
Yeah.
For
and
sure.
Gordon Maxwell.
Yeah,
Maxwell
those people
got a lot of his stuff from David Icke.
Yeah, well, David Icke...
vice versa. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's it, because Jordan Maxwell was going before, wasn't it? But I know that David Icke, when he had his revelation, because he used to be a sports person, a sports pundit, he was a professional goalkeeper. And then he just gave it all up one day, and then everyone, dissed him. But he went off to Africa, and he spoke to, he got talking to Zulu Nation people, and he got friends with the spiritual leader, Credo Mutwa. Yeah. And Credo Mutwa told him their shamanistic history of Africa. And he said, look, we didn't used to use language, we used to be telepathic until a bunch of people come along and messed it up. And he said we used to literally be able to do that, just like Solomon. He said we used to be able to walk out to the jungle and think, right, we need a deer to eat for the village, and call it out over heads. And that deer would come along, and it would just kneel down and get ready to be killed. And then so people used to call the animal, wanted to give itself up, so they'd only slaughter that one animal because that's all they need. And they said it was all like harmonious. Do you know what I mean? And I thought, well, that's interesting, right? And then also, I remember Richard Hoagland, you probably all heard of him, the NASA space historian, okay? He claims that those astronauts, when they first went up there, he says they had a bit of a problem with filtering the light. Because he said the reason NASA put gold on plastic for the visors, he says people think it's a heat shield. It's not. He said it helps filter light in the blue spectrum so you can be on the moon and see things a bit better with too much reflection. But he said also one of the main reasons that they didn't tell you is that when you're outside of the atmosphere and all those cosmic rays are hitting you with no pollutants and stuff, he reckons that the cosmic rays will bounce off your retina and show you symbols. And he said it was distracting astronauts doing spacewalks, so they needed to filter them out because you don't want random cosmic symbols appearing on your retina, do you? So I wonder if is that the green language? Is there a universal cosmic language? Is the question.
That makes me think about there's a civilization that was supposedly wiped out that didn't need food or anything. It just got its energy and food from the sun, like plants. Did you hear about that?
I've not heard of that. I've heard of sun eaters though. I don't mean like something that eats the sun. I mean people that will stare at the sun when it first rises, when it's orange, before it turns yellow, because then it's bad for your eyes. But when it's orange and red, it won't damage your eyes. And people reckon they can stare at the sun every morning and then not need food. And there was a guy, I think it was from India. There was a guy that was one of those people that didn't eat. And he went into a lab. I don't remember his name. You can probably look it up. But he went to a lab for about 3 or 4 months. And they were studying him. He didn't defecate. Had him there for about 4 months. And it only ended because he got bored and went home. Do you know what I'm saying?
I remember that.
And if you look at...
Yeah.
Remember that story? Oh, it's not just in my imagination there. Thank God.
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like, wait, am I mixing shit together? And this is actually from a comic book? Like, shit, I don't know anymore.
Oh, I've done that. Do you know, I did that once, Mike. I started telling someone a story, then I was like, oh, hang on, it wasn't real.
wait, my bad. It wasn't real.
No, that one is them, folks. That one's real.
That one's, yeah, I've heard of it. I've heard the guy, exactly. I don't know. I think that's the thing, right? Like, so back, we got a bunch of new people showing up. The conversation tonight is this, just reframe it real quick. Was there a perfect language before the Tower of Babel? That's what we're talking about. And if so, what does that look like? Was it a nonverbal sort of communication? Was it a more of a telepathy sort of situation? Was it an actual language itself? They called it the language of the angels. They called it the green language, the language of the birds. And is it maybe something that still exists in nature? It's all the things we're kind of considering tonight as we talk about this stuff. Had tons of great takes here. Derek adds in the chat real quick, is the magnetic field tied to the songs of the spheres? And maybe right. Maybe right. Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, Rohan. You were on a roll before I stopped you there.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. No. Well, interesting segue on that one, actually. Because, again, this is Billy Meyer. You probably heard of him, too. I read the contact notes, right? I mean, take it for what you will. But I remember him saying in there, just an interesting little side note, he was asking the Pleiadians about music and if they do music. And they said, yeah, we do. But we take the sounds of planets and moons and try to make arrangements out of them. So I thought, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? We could do that.
Yeah, there's clips on NASA's web. NASA's got a SoundCloud that they got radio emissions from the Earth and from Saturn, and it's like, whoa. It sounds like a weird... you could put it in a remix for sure. I'm sure there's people that have...
That's an idea there. Interesting stuff.
Rohan and I have been kicking around some music. Maybe we're about to put that in a remix.
Yeah.
What Saturn does sound like, I've worked with steel before, and you tap you get like an I-beam or a big cantilever, like a tube of steel, and you tap it with the hammer lightly, and that's what Saturn sounds like. I swear to God, same thing.
Oh, I love that kind of stuff. I like Aphex Twin. If Richard D. James, if anyone's heard of him, so he's like the Mozart of techno. He uses drills and all sorts, man. It's just for sounds. Yeah, it's great.
Exactly.
Sound Lab is he lives in a bank vault.
Does he live in a bank vault?
That's class. He bought a bank vault for a studio. Do you know what I'm saying? Drives around in a tank. It's just he only does interviews in a graveyard. He's just one of those kind of guys.
Wow, what a character.
That's a character. Daryl's got a great question here in the chat. What would the written word look like if a perfect language existed?
Oh, synesthesia is what you need there, because that's the thing that I'm telling you need ayahuasca for that, because those ayahuasca Peruvian rituals, man, I'm telling you, they all see the same thing, and then there's no arguments, because they see it as a three-dimensional object. You can't argue about it. You can all look at it.
I've read a lot on the ayahuasca. They say the reason why that's not going to get popular is because of the pharmaceuticals hold on modern medicine, and that everybody they don't want ayahuasca because ayahuasca, they say, is too cruel. That's what they say. It's too cruel of a practice.
Wait. Who? The machine elves? Who says that?
Yeah, whatever the pharma rats, whatever you want to call them.
You mean the doctors? Yeah. The doctors?
Yeah. Well, also, like, how many people would be okay with pooping themselves and throwing up all their their negative emotions? Because that's what they say. The natives wrote that that's what happens when you take it, is that all your negative emotions are purged out every hole you have.
Ooh,
great purge.
Yeah,
you have to be ready for that. Yeah, you got to. You got to let it all go. Graham Hancock said he had to do that. He says it's not fun,
But afterwards, they said that they're able to recall their tragic memories without any negative emotion attached to it, and their memory overall improved.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of positives with, especially vets with PTSD. That's where I've seen the most positive stuff about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with that. LSD worked really great for alcoholics when they did studies of that, because it puts yourself in a psychotherapy chair. Do you know what I mean? I think Ibogaine. Yeah, Ibogaine. I think it worked for heroin addicts, but they say it's the worst 24 hours of your life, you know. MDMA was used for counseling couples, you know.
Oh, and you know what? MDMA is in saffron oil, the sassafras rhubarb, the tree, the sassafras rhubarb.
Yeah.
You can chop it up and make saffron, a yellow oil, which has MDMA in it. And they used it historically. They used it historically to talk to the gods. Like when the women were priests, they would use it to talk to the gods, like in Atlantis, supposedly as well.
But I think what a lot of these bits are coming around to then is that they're about, see, what are all these things are doing? They're all changing their communication, aren't they? That's what they're all doing. They're getting to the communication of the root of the problems for a different method. You know, that's why I bring it up.
I'm so glad you did, Rohan. I would never shut up, though. I know I got to be careful because I love when Rohan comes on. I just want to say like 1,000 things.
It's all good. We got God willing, we got tomorrow. We'll keep on trucking, keep on talking about this stuff. We are getting low on time here. We've been at it for 3 hours. So the way this goes, guys, is we do a couple hours on the radio, then we do a third hour off for this reason, so we can just get together, kind of kick it more like friends, less like a radio show, and just having a great conversation about all kinds of things. Allison in the chat says, our languages are connected. The channel Chiron, Chiron, Chiron Last has great videos on it. There you go. I haven't heard of that channel. Another one to check out. Definitely good stuff. Ronnie says, I guess they didn't have auto-tune. I guess maybe not. I don't know. Any other theories there, Rohan, before we bring in Jay and wrap this sucker up?
Yeah, one last one, right? Birds have got 2 voice boxes. That's why they make so complex sounds, right? So then I only just thought this moment. Maybe that's why the Gnostics used to work in pairs or 4s or 8s. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you need 2 voice boxes to make the language up. Who knows?
Or maybe it's in tune with all of those things, right? You need like the 2 different whatever's going on, plus the...
it was always male and female as well, yeah.
Plus the electromagnetic sort of a vibe that they communicate through. Yeah, thanks again to Algorithm. Everybody follow Algorithm. That's just type it just like it sounds. Algo and the name Rhythm, like dancing rhythm. He sent a bunch of folks over. Welcome everybody, a bunch of new people here. Follow him back. I was checking out his channel today. He's over there doing God's work also. He's doing his best, and we're doing the same thing, trying to get people together instead of tearing people apart. He's definitely on that program, and I appreciate him quite a bit. Thank you for everybody who came over from that channel. Very, 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 very good stuff. Let's go to Jay. Matt says that they found ayahuasca by listening to the plants. Did they really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can drop plants in it in the brew, and then once it's made, when you take the brew, it will tell you the extra plant you put in it. It will analyze it for you and tell you what it can be used for. That's how they know. That's how they know. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I tried to get booze. I tried to get the pharmaceutical. There's a massive Walgreens bought a massive pharmaceutical company in my city, and I tried to tell him about that and say you can make cancer treatments. Go. Just send 4 people to go and get high, and they'll come back with 3 cancer treatments. You'll make a bank of money, and they didn't care, did they? You know.
Whoa! Be careful how you word that. Supposedly, right? Supposedly.
Magic mushrooms are the best.
Supposedly.
Yeah. What I'm saying was is that
we're on YouTube, guys.
These YouTube. No, but these emphagens are banned from being studied. That's why I say it, because they're controlled substances. So what I'm saying is, if you go and test them in labs, like Dr. Straussman got the only license to study DMT, and he called it the spirit molecule. What I'm saying is, don't go and take drugs. I'm saying go and study these things and find out if they've got uses instead of just banning them. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, right.
Just to be clear.
Holistics. Yeah. There's a whole... I'll find it. I'll link it in the chat. There's actually a famous talk show host who's an epidemiologist and he's very old now, 84, 85. He's almost retired. He's still got a podcast, but his name's Michael Savage. And he did exactly that. He said his life experience was that his parents both died early of heart attacks, and he knew that was going to be the way he went early. And he spent his entire youth traveling all around the world trying to find medicines to combat this, but holistically. So he would go meet with people in like the native tribes in places that have barely had contact with the modern world, and he would find their old ways of doing these things, and he wrote an entire book about it. I'll dig it up and find it, but yeah, There's people that have done it. There's people who have done it. It's just like you said. It's kind of been restricted, hasn't it? There's some things you're not allowed to talk about. For real. It's a shame. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame. All right, we're gonna bring in Jay. You're welcome to stay, Rohan. Let's do this. Jay in New York. What's happening, my friend? How are you?
Austin, Rohan, everybody who's still here, everybody who's listening. Oh my God, what a show!
Thank you.
That's, yeah, I really do. I don't even know where to start. I'll start with something funny. Half of my family is Polish, and whenever somebody was being a dumbass, we always used to call him Nimrod. Just
well,
because I'm like listening to that, and I'm looking at the things that the people are putting in the general and stuff like that about Nimrod and the slave and demons and all that. It's just wow, what a hell of a conversation this is. And the other thing that I really wanted to bring up is that I went to a Church of God for a time there. The Polacks quit the Catholic Church for obvious political reasons, and they all ended up going to a Church of God for a couple of 2 or 3 years. And those people actually spoke in tongues and got the Holy Spirit and shook and would pray for a translation of it was Babel.
Oh, dude, I didn't even think of it. Maybe speaking in tongues is the original language.
it was, and I was a kid, so you don't really know how much you believe it, but when it happens, and even if it was, I don't want to say this because I don't want to offend anybody religiously or anything else like that, but if it was coerced maybe in some way to happen at a particular time during the sermon, it was a moving thought through the entire congregation. I mean, you could feel the hairs stand up on your whole body. It was weird. Evidently, I babbled once and didn't even know it.
Really? It happened to you?
Yeah. No, I was the babbler. And
seriously? You actually
I had no idea.
And speak in tongues? The whole thing happened to you?
Yeah, I don't remember any of it. I remember the people translating what I babbled.
Wow.
But I don't remember the babble. And we quit the church after that.
You black out then?
It was seamless for me.
Wow. That's amazing. It's like you're frozen on hold.
Please hold.
Yeah, God's taking over right now. He's got some babble he's got to put out to these Bible beaters that, don't dance and can't wear makeup and girls wear skirts. And
how rude.
All that.
How rude. I didn't even think of that. Yeah. What's speaking in tongues? I try not to think of that, but that's probably why I didn't think of it. What's up? Shout out to Algorithm. Hey, man, I checked out your channel, man. We'll talk. Thank you so much for sending folks over. Everybody, Algorithm, I got him up on the screen. Go follow him on YouTube, please. Give it a follow back. Algo, just like it sounds, ALGO space rhythm, RHYTHM. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Sorry.
He's the guy from Colorado, right?
Yes. His name's Mike.
All right,
fine fellow.
I'm trying to give myself like a little Mensa test here with remembering names and stuff like that because I'm horrible at it. I read these books and stuff like that. There's no way I could quote them or anything else like that because I don't remember who the people are. And
I'm the worst with my memory. I struggle. You guys see me struggle with it every night for 3 hours at a time. I do my best, but you can't remember everything. But
we have hell of a conversations.
Yeah, well, hopefully. Here we go. We got a rave.
That's for the rave.
That's for the rave. Here we go. Here's the link. Everybody go follow our friend Algorithm Mike. There you go. Appreciate it.
Speaking of tongues thing, it could also be channeling, like in Ancient Japan. They talk of that, of channeling.
One of the coolest things that you say Ancient Japan is they have a thing called Sate Numa. I'm probably saying it wrong because I'm not Japanese, but it's about being one with the earth. And it's the way that I learned about it is because I'm interested in buildings because I'm a carpenter, but that's how they build their buildings. you keep the things local with the area that it's in, because they're not going to rot the same. They're not going to, because it's the local area. You want the materials that you're building your thing out, build out of the things that were built there forever and ever. You know, it's just one of those simple things like that, is being in touch with the earth and the nature and all of it. Or, you know, I've taught my kids how to hold bumblebees. You know, you take a little sugar water and you sprinkle it on their hand and just hold your hand out there kind of still, and the bumblebee will land on your hand and check you out eye to eye while he's licking out the sugar water. You know, the butterflies, you know, all those kind of things.
So teaching your kids how to commune with nature, is that the original language, my friend?
I've always been a huge fan of, you know, communicating with, you know, when you see deer in the apple orchards and stuff like that in Ohio and stuff like that, and it's not hunting season, you could probably pet them. You know, walk right up there and touch them. The ducks down by the river here in Binghamton, where everybody feeds them and everything else like that, if you walk down there with a loaf of bread, they'll come sit on your lap and just hang out with them. I mean, I've had a buddy of mine that we used to feed one of the chipmunks at the job site that we were at for like 2.5 years remodeling a house. We used to always go down and sprinkle the infield for the chipmunks where we always had our lunch, because it was fun to watch them run around. So then we started putting them on the steps, and then we started putting them on the porch, and then one guy put them on his boot, and then he put it on his knee, and then he put the bag in his shirt pocket and didn't put them out anywhere. I actually have a video that I could probably get to you guys where the little bastard actually came up, sat in a dude's pocket, would reach down, grab a sunflower seed, look up and like kind of hang out with all of us and eat it, and then go down and grab another one. And it's a good 10 minutes that chipmunk did that. You know, I mean, you can communicate with animals. Like, it's not hard to do, you know. It's not at all hard to do.
Yeah, interesting. Like we were describing earlier. So is that the original language? It's not. It's. I guess, check this out. If you boil it down to one thing, the original language is intent, right? So if your intent is a peaceful intent, it kind of maybe comes out of you in your body language, in your demeanor, in your actions, and the things that other people, other entities, animals, plants, whatever, they sense it, they see it. Is there a universal vibe? And maybe that's the actual language itself. They sense it, man. They know. They know.
White side of the yin and the black side of the yin. The language is the black side of the yin, and the being in tune with nature is the white side. That's a wild way to mess it up for after hours, Mike. Or no, what did Derek say it was going to be? That was awesome. Whatever Derek said that he wanted to call it. I can't remember.
He'll remind us. He's but we're actually, we got it recorded so we can go back and find out. Like I said, my memory is terrible. If I don't stay focused on the thing I'm doing and continue to do it, everything just turns into a giant shit show. So I have to try and stay focused. But okay, yeah, all right. So all right. What do you think then? Do you think back to the Tower of Babel? And I like how you brought in the speaking in tongues. Good stuff there. Babbling, they call it, right? Interesting. So it has a connection to the Tower of Babel. Maybe that was the original word, the original language. Derek said in the chat too that people are, let's see, what did he added? What did he say here? One moment, please. He said, demon-possessed people during exorcisms will talk in tongues, and when they analyze it, they find that they're speaking a blend of a ton of languages. There you go. Yeah. I don't know. You tell me.
That's crazy. It's like the sassafras tea that I didn't realize I was drinking until 30 years later. You know, that's what it was. You know, back with what Rowan was saying. You know, I look at sometimes that, you know, we probably know this, you know, it's in us, you know, everybody could probably sit down and talk with the animals, watch the birds.
I think you might be right. I think we get, I think like in the film Constantine, where there's two twin sisters and one of them's killed themselves. That's why Constantine gets involved. And she had the sight, the gift. But her sister said she didn't have it. But it turns out she did. she just forgot about it. She suppressed it, and it's all those little things you ignore. You see something out the corner of your eye, you think, oh no, nothing. You think you see something in the sky, you go, oh, it's probably a plane. All these little glitches, it's like confirmation bias, isn't it? You just like normalcy bias. You go, no. And plus, you don't want to think the crazy stuff because someone will think you're nuts if you tell them.
Yeah.
And then you've got to hold this horrible secret. If you think you saw, like, I think Darryl mentioned, if you've seen some giant shadowy figure that's massive, as big as a building, walk past, you're going to think, no.
Yeah, I'm definitely not putting that picture on the internet, man.
Yeah, you're not putting that on Facebook, are you?
No way. Not me.
It goes back to childhood. Like when the child's grown up, they'll have those things going on with them. They'll say, "Oh, it's magic," or "Oh, I seen this," or "I seen that," and they get shot down so much, usually by other.
Not at my house.
Even their parents, and that's what suppresses. That's how that grows. Through their mind as they get older, they don't think anything of it now because they've always gotten shot down for thinking like that.
What about this, guys? Because children are universal. We've all seen small children. How many small children have you seen where they're talking to someone or staring at something that's not there? Just like transfixed for a few seconds. It happens all the time, doesn't it?
Truly wonderful. The mind of a child.
When I'm listening to the show on double time, usually I miss the first half hour, maybe 45 minutes or something like that, and I have to catch up in double time. That's because I'm running up there, listening to who the kids are talking to. Is it the stuffed animals? Is it the, whatever?
Oh, yeah, so you've seen
something else. Yeah. The imaginary friends.
The thing that creeps me out a little bit is the house is a funeral home, and and the kids do talk to stuff. The dog stops at the bottom of the stairs and his hair turns up and he looks. What are you doing, man? Everybody's down here. We have that stuff. It's creepy, freaky things that. I've never heard about the screen language called that way before, the language of the birds and stuff. That was new to me, but I've seen very similar things with, I don't know, no name, I would call it. I don't know. I guess it's the language of the birds.
Yeah, maybe communing with nature. Tam says, is it too late to call in? Hell no. Nobody tells us when to stop. You got something to say. Get your ass in here, Tam. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't want to go into this, and none of us will, but just to throw it out there is this party that we're probably not going to say anything about called the Green Party.
Oh, yeah. Leave it at that. But yeah,
let's leave it at that.
Wait. You got to have a point. You got to have a point. You can't just throw it out there because I'm going to get it. I'm going to jump all over that. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Do it.
Maybe we should hold that until YouTube's over and you're only on rocks then.
Yeah, right. No, it's all right. All right.
Talking of rocks. Have any of you guys heard of that guy? It was random. I think he was a New Zealander. I can't remember where I heard this, but he was on about that, hearing voices from nature. There was some reason he went off on his own, and he said he could hear these voices of nature, like he could hear stuff, but he weren't sure. He was like meditating or whatever, and he had an accident, and he woke up in hospital. He had quite a bad accident, but he could hear that same voice talking to him, right? And it turns out that he was getting messages about humanity, but it was from the boulders that were behind him when he was sat on the island. And it was like, these boulders are talking, oh, yeah, we watch you idiots doing this over and over. You know what I mean? It was like, and I thought, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love it. That's amazing. Absolutely. All right, so let's go to Tam. This is Tam in South Africa. Welcome, Tam Bam, to the show. How are you tonight? This morning, I mean. Thanks for listening. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. We heard you, I think, for a second. Hello,
I heard him say hi.
Hello, Tam. Hello. Yeah, some chat in here, communing with nature. I think that's part of this. I think maybe this is exactly what we're talking about. It's if you go back, right? If you kind of take nature as an entity, right? Like Gaia, Mother Earth, this type of thing. If you take it as that, I think maybe that's probably the best way to quantify what the actual right? The original language was. It was maybe that communing with nature and sort of being part of it. You knew, right? Like the deer, the chipmunk, or whatever else, right? Like whatever these animals were in this natural platform, this natural thing. That was the original language. And so here we are, so far removed from that, with all the concrete jungles and all the crap that we have to deal with, paying the bills and the taxes and the healthcare. Don't get me started. Is maybe
Do you know what, Mike? You've triggered me.
Yeah, right.
Because it just remind me now, right? Guess what? You mentioned not speaking, right, and using telepathy, and the speaking bit could be the thing that screwed us up. And then we're talking about communing with the earth, right? Guess what the Gnostics used to do? All about Gaia, and they actually did that all in silence. And they only broke that vow of silence to speak to the ancient Greeks to warn them about Abrahamic religion's idea of a chosen people, saying that was really bad. So the Gnostics before that didn't speak. So makes me wonder now, doesn't it?
There it is. There's your original language. Tam Bam, you there? Test 1 2. We heard you for just a sec, and then you cut back out. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. The technology is what the technology is. Yeah, everybody, do go follow our friend Algo Rhythm. I just checked his page out yesterday. Was listening to a bunch of the stuff he's doing over there. Go check it out, just like it sounds. Algo Rhythm, RHYTHM ALGO, and the search will take you right there. Allison says dragonflies sound like airplanes. What's up, Tam? She's still trying to get it figured out, I think. Yeah, there's a nice talker. And Rohan is absolutely smashing it tonight. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. The dream team.
Oh, yeah, having connection issues. It's pretty chaotic over in South Africa right now.
Yeah, I don't think where she's at, though. I hope not.
Hello.
Hello, Tam. Welcome to the show.
How are you guys?
Doing very well. How about you?
Excellent. Fun. Good.
Right on. Go right ahead. You said you had some ideas on this original language, green language.
Okay.
What do you think?
So usually I just I sit back, and if I don't understand something, I'll sit back and I'll listen to what everyone else has to say and eventually chime in. But Jay actually hit something that really made sense to me, and that was speaking in tongues. And according to the Bible, speaking in tongues is a communication. It's one language, but to communicate to every other country. So you speak one language, but every other language from a different country can understand exactly what you're saying. And it was a special gift. So maybe it might have been the language of the birds before the Tower of Babel. So you could it was really just speaking in tongues, one language to communicate to everybody. And now it's just considered a special gift to be able to communicate. So if I've got one person from every country that doesn't speak a word of English, and I've been given the gift of tongues, and I speak in tongues, all of those people can understand me saying exactly the same thing.
So instead, it's so not necessarily maybe the language itself, maybe it's channeling of sorts, right? You're channeling maybe into a depth of the beginning that maybe brings that language back to you. I don't know, just kind of adding on to your thought there. Good stuff. Like I said, Jay brought up some stuff I hadn't even considered, that speaking in tongues bit, the Tower of Babel and whatnot. But yeah, do you know any more about that in particular? Have you ever had been to like a church or anything that had speaking in tongues, Tam?
Well, listen, I'm all about Jesus, but I'm very open-minded, as you know. But when you come to me and you start hitting the floor and doing strange things that are not actually written in the Bible, because the Bible is the Word of God, and it is not written within the Bible, then I question the intention. So I'm not a happy clappy, jump up and down kind of churchgoer. I actually don't even go to church. I do my own studies and I do my own research. And I'm not I don't know. I've never really experienced someone speaking in tongues because I question it. And, you know, when you watch the televangelists on, you know, doing their thing and speaking in tongues and like Creflo Dollar and all those people, I question it because their motives aren't right. Their motives are, you know, monetary. And I get so angry. It's not about that. And so I'm really on the fence about it.
Same here. It makes me suspicious that it's not some sort of ritual, something or other that has nothing to do with God at all. Maybe I'm wrong. But
We ditched the church shortly thereafter.
Pardon?
We ditched the church shortly thereafter.
Yeah, me too.
We didn't go there anymore. You know?
Yeah, me too. It's horrible. It drives me insane because, you know, being a Christian is not, and people are misunderstood about Christianity. It's not that. Christianity is more spiritual than anything. That's why I'm so open-minded. There are so many books missing from the Bible. You know, the book of Enoch already, it talks about, you know, the bandwidth we can't see out of, you know, demons and angels and all those things. But it's been taken out. By who? By humans. Why?
Yeah.
It's none of your damn business.
There's a certain name that I could name, but I probably shouldn't.
you just keep triggering us, dude. Why don't you just?
Yeah.
How about don't this time? Damn it, Austin! You're killing me, bro.
They have marble and limestone in their building. I'll give you that.
Okay, all right.
It's big and it's old.
Oh, gotcha.
Roman
And also we're in
Roman
Solomon.
times.
Gotcha.
And
Don't
we're
even get me
also
started
in
on that.
Solomon.
Yeah,
A lot of their
Nag
rituals
Hammadi.
are based on that.
There's a book called the Nag Hammadi Treaties, and it's got a bunch of banned books that were banned by this certain place I'm talking about, and Book of Enoch's included.
Okay, all right. We got it. Homed in. He's trying to trigger me.
We own the printing press. we own the printing press.
They have their
We're
own
not putting that
military.
dick in there.
Austin, don't make me.
They have a white and yellow flag.
Don't make me come over there. All right, Tam.
Yeah.
Continue, my friend.
Okay, so then we were talking about animals and the communication of animals, and I said in chat on Rockfin that animals. Someone told me or I read somewhere that you communicate with animals through imagery, and so if you portray an image of peace and you know your intent also has to be pure. You know, following your imagery, you can actually attract the bird, you can actually, or the animal, to create a sense of peace and I'm not going to harm you, and which is such a beautiful thing. And like, no jokes, I have tried this and it's not for everybody, because now I've got literally about a 6th generation of freaking doves living in my tree right here, and 2 more baby birds were born 2 days ago, and now we're 7th generation. So don't try this at home unless you're prepared.
But they're at peace there.
Yes,
You
they
know,
love it here. I mean, it's actually quite annoying.
Because of the cooing.
Because it's just a lot
the
of
constant
birds.
cooing.
And it rhymes with cooing.
That pigeon poop is something.
They don't want to leave.
Pigeons are thugs.
No, they're called lovey-doveys. Pigeons are, you know, gangster, you know, city birds. I don't know. I've got lovey-doveys, so they're quite small and they're cute.
Yeah. I don't know. But today we were at the restaurant and stuff like that, and the hawk was chasing the pigeons around the tallest building in town, and it's across the river, so you can see it. It has a beautiful view of downtown. But we're sitting there having our, you know, French fries and steak sandwiches. But I point to the kids and I'm like, "Look, you see all those birds over there?" And it was a massive amount of pigeons. I mean, they're at 500 plus, you know.
So
go ahead.
I was gonna say they have carrier pigeons, and they use those to communicate. But I bet there's people out there that use hawks to intercept the messages.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Oh,
back to
they
the
brought the peregrine falcon. They bought the peregrine falcons here to Binghamton to combat the pigeon population, because if you own a building in downtown, it's disgusting. It's
You're gonna get shat on all day.
Yeah, it's unhealthy.
That's like some weird inverted dark magic, isn't it? To use a hawk to get the carrier pigeon that's delivering the message. It's like using the nature of the birds to kill the nature of the bird language. It's like one of them evil inversions, isn't it?
Well, it could also be used to stop a message that would keep someone alive or something, you know?
Oh, good point. So that means we weaponized it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course we did.
New York City, actually, at a really long time, they were a pigeon carrier place. They would take the pigeons from New York City and they would ship them to Europe, all over, during the Second World War. And people would send messages back, because if you take a pigeon from anywhere on the world, it'll go home. Pigeons will always go home. Yeah, sorry,
You're screwed, Tam. You're screwed.
Tam, what are we going to do with all these stolen pigeons now?
We're going to drop them off at Tam's house, and she's going to write us all a message, and we're going to...
Clearly, I have nailed the secret language of the birds. Clearly. You guys need to take notes.
That's what it is. There it is. There it is. Hey, let's wind this up, guys. My dog's got to go for a walk. We can continue this in the new. It's called Outside Our Minds. Is the new shoot the breeze. So we can continue this conversation. Not going to kick anybody off. Let's round up the stream. Let's finish the sucker up, and then we'll just jump in there. If you guys want to stay and hang out, you're definitely welcome for that. So the conversation does not have to end. That's my point. That's my whole point, right? If you get a bunch of people to respect each other and want to share ideas with open minds, the conversation continues, doesn't it?
Well, I'm going to go because my Friday is getting started. And it's Friday, so I've got to enjoy it.
Happy Friday.
Because Monday, thank you.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Monday comes fast. Amen. Thanks for your input. Anything else, Tim? Anything else while we got you on?
No, that's all. That's all.
You're the best. Thanks for chiming in.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers to you.
Happy
Friday. Happy Friday.
Thank
all right.
You.
All right, go. Jay, before Boomer triggers me again. Austin.
I'm sorry, it's my turn. Good night. Yeah,
you're on.
Good night, Tam. It was a pleasure. Awesome. So I'll definitely be in the what is it called?
Outside the Minds.
Outside the Minds. Yeah, I'll be there for a while.
Outside. But there you go. It's the only one who's named weird.
Yeah, that's awesome. But I don't know. Time for the quote, Mike. So we're done.
We're done. Nice meeting you guys. Okay. Thanks to Algorithm and everybody else for coming on over. Yeah, we're done. Quote is up. Right. Music's playing. Rip it, Jay.
I believe when an elder dies, a library is burned. Vast sums of wisdom and knowledge are lost. Throughout the world, libraries are ablaze with scant intention. And that's Elizabeth. That I won't even try to pronounce the primary name, Lindsay, because Capowally something. But yeah, I just thought of that. It's like we gotta keep track of what we're learning from the people before us. I think that's a serious way to where we're gonna get to where we're going.
Amen to that. Amen. Great stuff as always, Jay. This is Jay from New York with the J-Tro. We call it the J outro is the J-Tro. Thanks, Rohan, for sticking around. Thanks, Austin, for being part of this and talking about Language of the Birds. We'll revisit this at some point. It's too big. This topic is too large. We said it last time. I did an entire other show on this for damn near 3 hours, and we did a whole bunch of stuff we didn't even talk about tonight. So this conversation continues. Like I said, if you guys want to hang out with us, we're going to be in our Discord. If you want to join that, just go to troubledminds.org, click the Discord link. It's a direct invite. Hop in here and say hi. A lot of smart people, a lot of great people, and love to meet you too. Come say hi. We're going to be hanging out for a little bit, at least a little bit. Sometimes it goes all night. Ask James. He knows. James is like, oh God, I'm up to 8 a.m. again. As we finish, thank you for listening, guys. Be sure, be strong, be true. We're done for the week. We'll be back tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific on Twitch to do the news show, but Troubled Minds will be back Monday at 7 p.m. You guys know the drill. Be good to each other. Do all those things, the human condition is not an easy thing to be a good person. So just keep on trucking, keep on battling, keep on fighting. We can do this. Again, we don't do this show without positivity, and that's what this is all about. So thanks again. Appreciate it. Each and every one of you, thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. And it's time to howl if anybody wants to howl. Howl! Howl! We're like a pack of terrible
pathetic wet chihuahuas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's one more thing. Oh wait, I can't say that on the air. That's right. Never mind.
That was awful. I'll get you guys a new. I'll get you guys a new Discord invite. One moment. I'm told the Discord invite has expired. Hold on. Let me get a new one. And here we go. Invite. Here you go. Here's your new Discord invite going right into the chat. There it is. There you go. So if you guys want to join, there you go. Actually, James dropped one in. So yeah, come say hi. Come meet lots of smart folks over here, and come be part of this. Thank you again, Algo. Like I said, I checked out your channel. I watched a few of the videos. Get in contact with me. We'll kick it. We'll talk about stuff. See if we can get you on Rockfin. Thank you to everybody again, and have a fantastic evening and a fantastic what day is it? Happy Friday. Happy Friday, guys. All right,
your path you must decide.
Your path you must decide. All right, guys, we're out. We'll catch you in the other the Discord channel here. It's called Outside Our Minds. Catch you there.